Hold on. Wrong one.
You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Well, we're off to a great start. I flipped the banners to the Roundtable, but I didn't flip the media assets. So, yay. Welcome to SA Soccer Roundtable, or is it SAFC FanCast? I'm not sure. We were off frozen last week, I believe, right? Right here with the games being canceled out and weather and all that fun stuff. So, Rafa, how are you? I see you're sporting some gear.
Yeah, Sulphur Springs Invitational. Thank you guys for the shirt. Still here in Killeen, Texas. I'll be on Lamp Passes, and then I'll head back to San Antonio. Hope you'll be able to watch some games.
Lamp Passes had a big win. Lamp Passes had a big win over
Fredericksburg boys. Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that as kind of a surprise for that here. So tonight, because we learned our lesson a couple of weeks ago where we cannot do standings and RPI because then that takes way too long. So we're going to just do standings. I'm going to ask a couple of questions about what teams have impressed, what teams have work to do, maybe a little bit disappointing or a little bit down in the standings than expected. And then, we're mainly going to be focused on standings where clubs are at this, where schools are at this point. And then me doing a little pre-work for the bracketology. For 6A, I've kind of got just a sneak peek of where things are at now. Maybe next week, while we do the RPI, maybe I'll try to do 4A and 5A and maybe 6A because it's just a matter of updating it depending on through there instead of doing the full schedules. But just saying, hey, this is a snapshot of what we'd be looking at between D1, D2 for that here. Rafa, outside of being frozen last week, I think you and I both saw our first Mercy rule game last night. I saw O'Connor, get past Marshall 8-0 in a game that could have been worse. But O'Connor, late in the first half, second half, started passing around, wasn't really attacking the goal. Had substitutes in and out, before they got the last goal for that here. Saw Jay and MacArthur in a fun physical match, both in JV and varsity for that here. And then saw O'Connell Marshall, which was a surprising match. I think Marshall's going to surprise people, at least from what I saw last night. And then last week? Where did I go last week? Southwest. South San. Yeah, I saw South San.
Yep, South San. And then we were at the South San game for the girls.
Yeah, so for me, like I said here, obviously my son plays for Jay, so I typically, will follow him around. Obviously, that's, my son's playing. So for there, but where have you been? You've been outside of San Antonio. You mentioned up in the Killeen area.
Yeah, so I've been road tripping, so I'll be doing covering some special games. So I got to experience my first ever Mercy Rule game. So I had the pleasure to watch one of the 4A girls state powers, Salado. Very interested to see how, what type of team they were, how good they were. And so they met up against LaGrange. And if you see some of the clips I put on X, they scored in bunches. And, they pretty much the game was over by not even halfway through the first half. The first half of the half, and basically they played keep away for a good 30, 35 minutes, but very talented team, but like I said, props to LaGrange too. Like I said, they showed up, they didn't quit, they played with heart. And but yeah, keep an eye on that LaGrange team. The Salado team. I think depending on where they end up on the bracket, I think they may be a favorite there, especially for Region 3. I do know they have a tough game coming up with Giddings. Giddings might be the one that might, throw a little monkey wrench on that, but it was fun. And there was a couple other games here. San Angelo Central boys traveled all the way here to play Chaparral. They got a 1-0 win. This is right before the weather kind of turned bad. Luckily, they didn't play yesterday because it was bad yesterday with all the rain. So, but like I said, I think Passes played last night too. Tuesday night, they got a big win over Fredericksburg boys. So some great soccer here in the Centex. So just representing us and 50-50 here, just to showcase all the soccer here in the state of Texas.
So I know I'll just say pot stir on this one. Lethal put out another poll about the mercy rule. I see the benefit of it, but I also don't like it as well. I've been on teams that were not very good, and you just took it on the chin, and I'm not gonna lie, it sucked. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Morale, everything was down. It was a long season, but you still played. It still, to me, it gave opportunities for young kids, freshmen, sophomores, to be able to come in, get some minutes, learn. More importantly, even if you're able to continue to work on some of the things, because I think a lot of times we see this is with either young programs, especially in the 4A side there, where you've got established powers, and then you've got some of the newer schools for that, and then 6A, obviously you've got your powerhouses, but to me it's one of those, I kind of go back and forth. I understand why they have it, but I also I'll use Jay and South San. They were up 7-0, and then they subbed out, and you could tell they kind of took the pedal off the metal. For that here, South San did get a goal, which like I said here, it's great for them. Along those lines here. But your thoughts on it now that you saw your first one, and I know you made some comments, during the game here where. What is it actually benefiting the winning team by calling it, or because I think coaches are coaching to it now.
Yeah, what I saw from, like I said, on Tuesday night, I understand the mercy rule. I mean, because we saw some scores that from the Coastal Bend, they were like 18-0 and 15-0. Like, what the heck? Did they miss the 3 extra points or something? Or, I mean, I understand for that part, that end. But also, like I said, you mentioned about the younger players, you kind of also penalize them because, one, they lose 20 minutes out of very I think that's valuable time, play time for them, especially if you have a bench that you're not very, confident in, and you're trying to develop them, because that not having a bench, as far as getting to certain game situations, you're going to rely on them, especially in the playoffs. And then for them not to kind of lose those 20 minutes, it kind of hurts them. And then you see them playing kind of keep away and stuff. I'm like, you only can do that for so many times. And there are some teams that, like I said, they're at the same level as some others, and I think the UIL is probably going to have to really kind of look at this re-examine this. How can we, make this a little bit better? That way, you don't want like I said, the kids to lose out on playing time, but also I understand you care about sportsmanship too. But like I said, your bench players, when they do come in, they want to show what they have. They can say, hey, they're fighting for minutes. They want to show, hey, coach, look what I can do. Give me time. You never know. I find that diamond in the rough, but if you don't give them enough time to play, it just hurts that. So it's hope maybe they'll look into it more. We'll see, but
I don't think they'll take it away though once it's
yeah, they will
implemented.
take it away. Yeah, unless
You know.
unless there's a big demand by the coaches, insane, especially with the Tasco side, is if they say, hey, look, this isn't really working out. Or let me tell you this. Why isn't there a mercy rule in basketball or in baseball? Well,
Yeah, because one team
actually there isn't one in baseball and softball, but why isn't there one in basketball? We saw one team win by like almost 90 points in a district.
Almost 100, right? It was
it was Brennan versus Marshall.
Yeah, it was like 130 something or 128 to like 38, 39, somewhere along those lines. Yeah, and that was just last night, and along those lines. So
even football does. Well, the only one that does have a mercy rule is a 6-man. They have a 45-point mercy rule, but as far as the other teams, they don't. So, I mean, it's gonna have to be looked at again. What's the fair way? Now, do you end the game maybe 10 minutes before, let them go 30 more minutes?
What about just a running clock? Like the JV is pretty much just a running clock.
Believe it or
substitutions or.
They can do that. Believe it or not, actually, at this game that I went to, once they got to like 6-0, they started doing a running clock.
Oh, did they?
Okay. Yeah. So, they could do that. I honestly think they should maybe extend it to maybe 10-0 and then 30 minutes into the half. Because, like I said, it's crucial time for your younger players. And, I know you're not trying to run up the score, but you can't penalize those players who are trying to, to show what they have out there and so forth. So it's like I say, I know he put that on the debate. I'm kind of curious of how others feel about it. Do you have anyone watching? Feel welcome to put your comments. But like I said, I think something they're gonna have to look at again next year. Maybe it's not gonna be perfect, but maybe something a little bit more reasonable as far as not cutting into players' playing time.
I just don't know if there's a perfect answer for it. Just because it's one of those. I'm older. Well, I'm a few years older than you. But like our generation played. If you were getting beat down, you sucked it up, and you just dealt with it. And like I've been on teams that didn't win anything. And it was a long year. I'd like to say it made me stronger. I don't know if it did or didn't, but through there here. But let's get to some taps action for that here. Like I said here, I thought it was an interesting night where we both flirted with it, but we'd never actually had seen it. And like I said here, it was just odd where. I was, keeping track of the 3 games because it was at, north side, over in Gustafson with the grass fields. So I was able to watch the 2 grass fields and then check the scoreboard, in Gus. And
then we had Steve at Northeast too. So yeah, we got a big old network of big coverage for games. So
hey, Matt, where are you, man? Matt, I'm gonna call you out. You said you're gonna do some of the South Side schools. Where you at, man? I've been to the South Side more than you have. Just saying. For that here. For taps here, so let's look into for the boys. No surprise in Division 1, District 3, Central Catholic 10-1-2, 3-0 in District. St. Michael's 6-3, St. Dominic, both of those in Austin, 6-3, but 2-1 and 2-2. TMI 1-2, and Antonian a little bit surprising at 0-3. On the season, especially after the last couple of years where they've had a little bit better records. I've been trying to see if I could find the TAPS playoff brackets. They still haven't posted anything here to be able to see how they're doing for the TAPS playoffs, whether it's all 5 or 4 or how how they're going to do it. I think last year everybody made it, but like I said, I haven't been able to find the confirmation on that on the new TAPS website as of yet. Your thoughts on Central Catholic, off to an outstanding year. They did have a loss last week to a UIL team, which I know you can go into a little bit more on that. But your thoughts on the Buttons?
Oh, this is still a great season for them. They're a talented team. Coach Valeria is a friend of mine. He's doing a great job there. I was there at that game that they did lose against Lee. Very competitive game, back and forth. And if you saw on X, I have actually the shot, that goal, that probably one of the goal of the weeks from that free kick, beautifully placed. They didn't quit. They kept fighting. They were trying to get back in it. But like I said, on that game, Lee was just a better team that day. And but like I said, they're bouncing. It's a good test for them because they fully understand once they get back to kind of district play. They have some real tough competition, especially with St. Michael's and Dominic Savio. And then, like I said, they want to finish the job this year. They've been kind of the bridesmaid the last couple of years, and I think they finally want to get that state championship. And I think, like I said, they have the talent to do it, and just have to kind of piece it a little bit more together. Once they get a little bit hot towards the end, like I said, I'd keep it. That's one team you probably don't want to play. But and as far as Antonio, and I'm like I said, I'm a little surprised too. It might be a rebuilding year for them. So they may have a large senior graduation senior class from last year. So they might be young, but maybe next year they'll bounce back. And TMI is in the thick of things. Moving up classifications, and they can still be. Like I said, they're still a dangerous team, and like I said, maybe they can try to catch up to St. Dominic and try to get that third slot.
Moving to Division 2, District 3. To me, this surprised St. Mary's Hall. St. Mary's Hall, the Barons, 8-2. Not so much that they're up there, but just how competitive they've been. Because usually they've been in the 3 and the 4 slot, kind of battling through there. Brownsville St. Joseph, 4-1 on the year. SanAntonio Christian, 3-2. So a little bit took a couple of losses already in district. Laredo St. Augustine 2-2, and then Victoria St. Joseph and St. Anthony unfortunately off to a slow start. But to me, like Brownsville St. Joseph's, you figured was going to be there. SanAntonio Christian, maybe a little bit slow start in district. I know 5 games in, so they're in the heart of it here. But to me, at least in my opinion, St. Mary's is the early story or the early surprise, I guess, as far as the standings at this point.
Yeah, they've done so well so far. Now they did lose to like I said, Brownsville, St. Joe's, so that's their only loss. But like I said, they've had some key wins. They had like I said, they did beat St. Mary's did beat Central Christian. I think they do go to penalty kicks, I believe, after regulation. So they have a penalty kick win over them. But it's still tight. I think like I said, on the second go around, it's going to be key who can steal points from their, those away points that are going to be the key to who wins this district. We'll see. I don't know if St. Anthony still has a chance to catch up to St. Augustine. Only 2 games behind. I think it's not too late to turn things around, but they got to get on it. But I think it's going to be like I said, it's a 3-horse race here. But you see St. Joseph. Like I said, they've been the team. Like I said, the last 2 years have been the team to beat. And so they'll sit there with Central Christian. So, but it's great to see St. Mary's Hall. Last year they've been in the middle of the pack now. So they're contending, and maybe this is the year they finally win a district title.
Thank you, Jesus. And then Division 3, District 5 for the boys. This one's kind of a little bit muddied up, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. Corpus Christi, St. Paul II, 1-0-2. Corpus Christi and Carterwood, 1-1-1. Geneva, 1-0-1. The Christian School at Castle Hills, 1-1, and even Holy Cross is just an 0-2, just kind of a half game out, depending on how you want to read it. I don't know what to make of this one here. It's flip a coin.
it's up for grabs, and I think I know Geneva's going down to Incarnate Corpus, I think tomorrow. So it's a big game for them. If they can get a win, they can get back into, they'll actually literally take over first place because they'll have
depending on the other results. Yeah,
depending on the other results. So, so there's an opportunity for them. Like I said, I think it's going to come down to the last couple of games as to who wins where. But I have a feeling. I think probably these four that you have right now are probably going to end up playing getting into the playoffs. Holy Cross, they can get, like I mentioned, get it together. You're not out of the woods yet, but you got to step it up.
They're competitive this year for here, so it wouldn't shock me. And like I said, it's just to me, like I said, this district here or this, this district.
It's an even.
It's
an
wide
even
open.
One.
Yeah,
it's wide open.
Yeah. The Division 3, District 6, New Braunfels Academy 3, the Atonement Academy 2-1. JP2 Shirts, JP2 0-2, and Kerrville, Our Lady of the Hawks 0-2. Kerrville's not shocking because unfortunately historically they've kind of struggled with the boys. But Shirts JP2 0-2 to me is not something that I'm used to seeing it, and especially in a 14 playoff or 14 district here.
Sure.
It's to me they're one of those ones that I've got questions on. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, this might be a thing for them that they're probably young. I think when you're a young team, you do struggle a bit. Maybe like I said, it's still early. They still have a chance. I mean, to get in. Technically, they might. All 4 teams may get in.
May get in. Yeah, we got to see how they break it up.
Yeah. How TAPS. How TAPS. Looks into it. But you could look at New Braunfels Christian. They've been a really
Braunfels solid.
Team.
Yes.
Yeah, they've been a solid team, but you also got to give it to the Atonement. Remember, they used to play fall soccer for TAPS. Now they that transition to the winter. The last couple of years, they've really risen their program, and maybe they get a win back when they play New Braunfels Christian. Maybe they get that win back and end up time for the district title. So,
I still wish that TAPS would have combined D5, the D5 and D6 together for that, because that would have been 9 teams for here. But I think you would have had a deeper conference, more competitive. Now, if everybody's making the playoffs, hey, I guess nothing to really worry about. But to me, especially where you have the girls kind of all bunched up and then the boys kind of split. I won't lie to you, that still kind of sours me. So, moving over to the ladies, Division 1, District 3, St. Michael's and Antonian, each 3-0. On it here, TMI, St. Dominic's 1-2, and then unfortunately for SanAntonio and Carterward, 0-3 in district. To me, Antonian and St. Michael Catholic, the CP, no shock on there here. And like I said here, when those two play, I think you mentioned pre-show February 7th is the first time that they'll play. So that might be something if you are a TAPS fan or you want to go out and support, two high quality, high school girl teams. That would be one to be able to go see for it here. And I'll see if I can pull it up, see if it's in San Antonio or if it's up in Austin.
They're playing on. I'll give you They're actually Antonio will be hosting St. Michael's on the 7th, so that'll be a key game there for next Friday. So if you have a chance, make sure that could, like I said, they're gonna face each other twice, and the out of the last three games. So
yeah,
and Antonio's got to kind of make sure is win at home and also win convincingly, because goal differential may come into this, who determines who gets that top seed. Because like I said, they have to travel the last game of the season. They have to travel to St. Michael's, and it's not an easy place to play over there. So
they got back-to-back trips to Austin in the year. The 14th at St. Dominic, Savigno, and then the 17th there. And then the time frame according to the TAPS schedule for that one. It shows canceled on the schedule too.
On the 7th, they'll play at 6. So
right, but when you look at we'll say it's at 6 o'clock, but we might have to reach out to them because on the status it says canceled, not upcoming when it comes to that here. So that's that might be something just kind of checking out, just kind of reviewing. But yeah, 6 o'clock, here in town to be able to go through and see that here. Division 2, District 3, D3. SanAntonio Christian 3-0, St. Mary's and Victoria St. Joe's 1-1, and then St. Anthony's at 0-3. Not really shocking. They don't, I think Christians is SanAntonio Christian's the class of it. I think St. Anthony will get a win or two, but I don't think they'll contend for the top of this district.
Yeah, a little surprised in Anthony because the last couple of years they've done well. Yeah, so this like I said, this could be rebuilding for them. St. Mary's Hall, like I said, business as usual for them. They're trying to contend into the title, but like I said, this has been SanAntonio Christian's district to lose, and they've pretty much had a stranglehold on this for the last few years. So we'll see. Like I said, come playoff time, let's see if they can make a deep run because they've kind of fallen short. So I think we'll see what they can do this year.
Division 3, District 4, Geneva 6-1, JP2, Shirts JP2 5-0. Don't be fooled. Shirts is really the one in control of this. The Atonement Academy at 4-3, New Braunfels Christian Academy 3-4. The Lady Bears from San Marcos Academy 2-2, Holy Cross 1-5, and Corpus Christi JP2 6-1. Them and Holy Cross had a draw here recently. I know Geneva already lost to JP2 once for that here. And if you look at the records, already 15 wins for JP2. They're looking strong for the playoffs. Geneva still very solid. I know preseason I was kind of, hey, did they take a step back? But they've stepped it up for district play.
Yeah, and they got a key game at home on the 6th against JP2. So can they kind of even the score on this? Because like I said, remember last year they ended up tying for, I think they tied for the district title, and they went kind of they kind of had like a trilogy or I think they played 4 times last year, and so it's like I said, those two have been the class act for this district, and but like I said, in the Braunfels Canyon, like I said, they've also been consistent too. They were kind of in the mix last year a little bit. A little surprised that they're 4th, but Atonement, like I said, just like the boys, the girls are doing a great job, and like I said, we'll see if San Marcos Lady Bears they can kind of try to get back in it. Like I said, they're not far behind New Braunfels Christians, and like I said, they may surprise us. A couple wins there, and they're back in it. So, but that, like I said, February 6th is the key game. Like I said, JP2 at Geneva should be a good game. So you have a chance. I think that one's going to be at 5 o'clock there. In Bernie, so we have a chance to check it out.
Moving on to the UIL. So we're going to start out with 4A for here for the Region 4. I will say when we get to, was it 31-30 or 31-32, I think especially on the girls' side, there just wasn't a lot of reportings for that here. So if you are down in that areas, please report to Max Preps. Just please. If
Vincent's watching, hey, can you kind of push them down there to send in their scores?
It's like everybody else, and like I said, some teams are inconsistent, and but you can sometimes go through and pick it, and if it's one team that's missing a gamer here, you can at least get kind of, hey, a snapshot of what's going on. But when it's, 2 teams have district games and nobody else really has any games played, I'm like, there's no reason to go through and put it on there. But 4A District 25, we don't have that problem. Northeast Early College, 7-1, 4-0. However, Austin Achieve 3-1 in district. Burnett Bulldogs 3-1-1. Jarrell 3-1-1. Lago Vista 2-1-2. So pretty decent into district play at this point. The green is the bigger school, so that'll be D1. The light blue is D2 when it comes to playoffs. And like I said here, probably next time we do these, I'll have kind of a sample sheet of how the first round would look like in the playoffs with D1 and D2. We're going to test it out tonight with the 6A for that here, just because we had all the information for them. Your thoughts on District 25 for here?
Yeah, no surprise. I mean, Northeast moving up from 5A to 4A, they were probably going to be the team to beat. And like I said, they had that run a couple of years ago. So I think they should have no problem winning the district. We'll see how, like I said, who they match up in D1. We'll find out. Like I said, we'll see who they match up in 26 4A.
Mm-hmm. So moving over to the ladies, Lago Vista 9-1, Burnett 5-0, Burnett 5-0, Georgetown Gateway 5-0. Three, I guess you could probably say 3 breakaways. Even if you look at their overall records, 5 losses between the 3 schools. Then you got Northeast Early College 3-2, Austin Travis 2-1, and then Florence Jarrell and Austin East Side for here. So pretty confident saying the top 3 will most likely, barring injuries and stuff like that, will probably make the playoffs. But coming down to that 4th slot, Northeast Early College or Travis, or do you think Florence or Jarrell have, or even Austin East Side, in your opinion, think they have anything to put up a leg with?
I think your 1 through 4 are pretty much going to run away as far as getting the playoff spots. Now, very, very competitive, the top 3 spots, with like I said, Burnett's been kind of the class act of this district. There's a key game tomorrow for them. They are playing Georgetown Gateway, so that'll determine who will be in first place, depending on what Lago Vista does. Yeah, and Lago Vista, I think they're playing against. They have a matchup with Northeast College, which is not a gimme game. So the top 4 teams are playing against each other. So we'll see. And then it doesn't get easier for Lago Vista. They got to go with Gateway, and then they finish off with Burnett. So they're now the top 4 teams are now starting to kind of play against each other. And then, like I said, within probably maybe by the end of next week, we'll find out who. As far as
next time we do our standings here, we'll have a clearer picture as well.
Who's in first place? Yeah.
In 26, no district play as of yet. I think they start this week.
They start this week. Right. Yeah.
Bandera, Marble Falls, Canyon Lake, Wimberley, Fredericksburg had a hiccup, and Davenport. To me, still a little bit disappointing. But still everything to play for. Everybody's still 0-0 where it matters for that here. So any quick thoughts on 26 since there's really no district?
Well, if you look at this district, it pretty much I think Marble Falls is the favorite, and like I said, they have a good squad this year again. The run that they had last year, like I said, I think they're looking to kind of equalize it again this year. But I'm a little disappointed with Davenport. But the thing is with Davenport, they have played some teams that, they're a couple classifications up. So maybe that record may fool you a bit. But like I said, if you look at their schedule, and I'll kind of list it a little bit quick. So they tied Panther Creek. Panther Creek of Frisco is one of the top teams in 4A. But like I said, they lost a really tough Frisco Emerson team, Los Fresnos, Medina Valley, Steele, and Judson. So they're playing teams that are higher division than them. But I think this is, and the whole purpose was that to get ready for this district because they know they're going to have to contend with Marble Falls. And like I said, it's going to be a dogfight for them for this district title. And we have here.
we got the guy that got fogged out trying to head up 281 yesterday.
Yeah, I sure did on Tuesday night. I was heading up to go see Piper in Smithson Valley, but I know we're talking 4A right now, so we'll get back to that, I guess, later.
Moving over to the ladies, Wimberley, Davenport, Fredericksburg, Canyon Lake, Marble Falls, and then Bandera for that here. So this is one that we knew was going to be a dogfight between the 5 teams, and so far, early season action, it showed that.
Yeah, like I said, for Davenport, this is their year. This is their year to, now that Bernie's not there, that they have to kind of run the roost. But Wimberley's also having a great season. I think that the championship is going to come down to those two. But you may have some dark horses on this one in the name of Fredericksburg and Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake beat Canyon, which is a 6A this past week. So, and Canyon, you know how Canyon's been playing well the last few years. So, this is going to be a very, like I said, a drag out, knockout type of district. Marble Falls may have a say also too, but like I said, as far as when the dust clears, like I said, it's going to be between Davenport and Wimberley. But I think the top 4 slots that you have right there, I think they're more likely going to be your playoff teams.
Yeah, and this is or going back to that district, if you can. I think I've talked about this before regarding this district, maybe possibly seeing 2 teams out of this district, representing Region 4, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, especially here on the girls' side with Wimberley and Davenport being as strong as they are, and who knows with Fredericksburg and Canyon Lake with that result.
So moving on to 27 boys, district Memorial, Lavernia, Gonzales, each 2-0. Lowling 1-1 with SanAntonio Cole. Kennedy, Young Men's, and Yoakum. Yoakum to me is a little bit surprised on the disappointing side. 0-7. Now I didn't expect them to, like last couple of years that we've been kind of following. They've always typically been mid-pack, maybe not up there with Lavernia. I think it's Lavernia. Historically, that's been leading this district, but for them off to a slow start. But your thoughts on the district of 27 boys at this point?
I think the 2 favorites are going to be Lavernia and Memorial.
Mm-hmm.
They actually play against each other. Memorial's at Lavernia on the 7th, and I actually got to see Memorial play when they played Cole. Very good team. They got some talent. They can touch the ball. Very active. They communicate well coached. And I remember Memorial gave some fits to Lavernia. Well, they stole that district out a couple of years ago from them. But the one dark horse of this team is Gonzales. I think they're starting to piece things together, and they're like I said, they're off to a good start in district play. They may be, like I said, that little monkey wrench on like I said, this district. You could give a loss to Lavernia or Memorial if they don't, if they kind of take them lightly. And then the 4th spot, I think it's going to be up for grabs. You can look at the records on the teams. They're just, it's pretty much kind of balanced. Normally you would think Kennedy would get it, but I think Kennedy's probably having a rebuilding year. They haven't been off to a good start. Cole, first year in UIL. Like I said, I got to see them play. They got some good players there too. They got their first ever district win, so congrats to them on getting the first ever district win. Maybe they'll surprise and get that 4th spot.
Moving over to 27 girls, Lavernia 2-0, Gonzales 2-0, Cullen Memorial 1 win, 1 draw, Lowling 1 loss, Lowling and Yoakum 1 loss and 1 draw, Kennedy, and then the young women's leadership 0-2. To me, Lavernia is the class of this one here. Cole, a bit surprising overall record and holding strong for being a new school in 4A.
Yeah.
Or in this, because they weren't in UIL, right?
UIL,
so it's
right.
not that they were for that, but stepping up to UIL conference.
Yeah. I watched them last Friday. Against Memorial, they tied 0-0, but they had the better chances. they were just kind of unlucky and unable to finish. They got a really good forward up top. She just wasn't kind of on target. Like I said, I think they have a good chance of maybe getting to the playoffs. But I think this is kind of like the Lavernia Invitational. They should dominate this district. Now it's going to be key there because they're going to be in Division One. Are they going to be in that collision course with Davenport? And that, I think that'd be a dynamite game to watch. So if that does happen, that'll probably be like your second round game, which will be a shame. One of them's going to have to probably go home.
Or yeah, that's true with Davenport or Wimberley, depending on the district champion, right?
Well, the Division One because of
yeah. So moving Wimberley will be D2, so we don't have to worry about that unless Banderas.
So it'll be a Lavernia Davenport game. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
So moving to District 28, boys, not a lot in the district record-wise, not a lot. Pleasanton 1-1, Floresville 1-0, Hondo 1-0. Somerset, Uvalde, I couldn't find a score for the match there. Poteet 0-2, and Pearsall's that magic team that doesn't play, and then all of a sudden you'll see them playing in district. So I don't know what to think about that, but if they're going to be playing or not, because they are a smaller new school. But this is, I think, Floresville is usually the favorite on this. Is that, if memory serves me correct?
Yeah. Floresville and Pleasanton are usually kind of the two team schools that are typically on top, and a little bit background for as far as Floresville. I know that they kind of got into the club scene about 3 or 4 years ago with their club Flowtown Kicks. And so I've been able to play against some of those teams when I was coaching AJ's team, the last couple of years before AJ came over. So when I was coaching the club, we did play against some of those teams, and they've got some good players out there, some talented kids, and some of the coaches are leading them in the right directions as far as clubs. So I'm always curious to see when we play against teams like that, smaller towns and such. Bastrop, I know Lockhart is another one that we've had the privilege of playing against, and they've got some quality teams. But speaking of Floresville again, they're heading in the right direction, and give them another 3 or 4 years, and I think that they're going to be one of those teams that you see in 4A, maybe down the road could be potentially 5A, that we kind of see that community start to grow, that soccer community start to build and grow off of what they've already established these first 3 or 4 years. So, good recognition that I've seen for Floresville as far as, building their community. Even driving through their town, you see the little ones, the academy and junior academy playing out there, on times that I've gone out of town that way and seeing them play, build up that soccer community. So that's pretty cool to see. But I would keep an eye on them. And Pleasanton's kind of been around for a while. They started building their program about 15, 20 years ago. And they're one of those that's usually up there. I know that their overall record, which again, throw out the overall record. District is where it matters the most. I know you and Rafa have hit that over the people's head before, where it's just like overall record, throw it out there. Like just district is really matters.
Yeah, if you look at Floresville, they actually started 6-0, but they've lost. Then they end up losing. I think they lost quite a few games, but they actually went to that Border Olympics tournament. But they had some decent results. They actually tied at Laredo Alexander, lost them in the shootout. They lost 1-0 to Veterans Memorial. Economides, who's probably one of the best teams in the Valley currently right now, they lost them 1-0. And then they had a couple tough ones with Austin High. They lost to Fredericksburg, but then they bounced back. They got a 6-0 win over Pleasanton. So I think they've, like Steve said, they're starting to kind of challenge themselves now, and they're starting to kind of piece things together a bit. And there could be that one team in the future that's gonna, really kind of make some noise, in the playoffs. And then the other teams, you got Uvalde. Keep an eye on Uvalde. Like I said, I know they start around, but normally they kind of, once they get dished around, they start kind of setting. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are teams like the what Floresville is doing. They're doing it the right way and challenging themselves and going to those kind of tournaments where hey, let's go and get experience against some of these top-notch teams across the state, and that's what's really going to start building your program. So you kind of already see, okay, where do we stand compared to teams that we would possibly play in the playoffs? And they're not just playing teams around the South San Antonio area or San Antonio area. They're expanding and going out and challenging themselves. That's what's going to get you more experience and allow your players to grow. So that's what you want to see.
So on the girls' side, not a lot to talk about. Floresville, Hondo, Pleasant, and Poteet all ended it in draws the first week. So it's early. It's early. It's very early. And like I said here, I'm not sure if some didn't report or not. But when we come back in a couple of weeks, I'm assuming this will probably be filled in a little bit more. Really not a whole lot to say on this one at this point, unless you guys got something to add.
Just, I guess, your usual suspects are usually your Floresville. Yeah. Well, last year was Floresville, Pleasanton, and Uvalde. Those are probably your three. Is this year Hondo finally gets in? Because remember last year, I think Somerset snuck in that last.
Knock them out, the last week.
Knocked them out, yeah. So is this their year finally? They make the playoffs and so forth. So it's interesting that we saw all those ties. So maybe we see it
right now.
Yeah.
I was just like, really? So 2 matches, they're there. There's a surprise on here, according to Rafa and District 29 boys. Santa Gertrudis Academy, 5-0, 4-0. Beeville Jones, 3-1. London, team that I like, Ingleside Mustangs, or like, I guess I follow. They're pretty active on social media and will put out results for this district here if Max Preps doesn't have it. Ingleside Mustangs. They got off to a slow start, but the coach had been saying, "Hey, watch out! Our roster's not complete." And they had somebody making their first appearance. I think he had either a brace or a hat trick, something outstanding. But Rafa, your thoughts on District 29 and your surprise that you're seeing?
Yeah, to see St. Grudas with the lowest enrollment of the whole district, leading it. For me, I would, normally your two top team. Really, the top team should be like London's been one of the most consistent teams in the last few years. I know they're 2-0, so they maybe haven't faced each other, but maybe St. Gertrudis may be for real this year, and they get in, and it could be a surprise. Beeville, I think Beeville, like I said, there's one of those middle pack teams that does make the playoffs. Year in, year out. Same thing with Tulsa Midway. Little surprise, Callan's kind of little down there, but I think like I said, the next few weeks you'll start kind of see everything kind of settle the storm. You'll have an idea who's going to go where as far as Division 1, Division 2, and who's going to win the district. But I still think, like I said, it's going to be London.
And I know we mentioned, I think it was Beeville, Beeville Jones that had the 18-0 over Kingsville King, the Brahmas there for that here. So padding the goal difference on that one here. So I know we mentioned it. So. But like I said here, it's through there. Looking at the ladies' side of 29, London 4-0, Cal Allen 4-0, and I know you mentioned that's kind of your favorite previously. Rockport Fulton, Beeville Jones at 2-2, Toulouse Midway 1-2, and then it's still early, but a few teams 0-2 and 0-3. But your thoughts on the 29 ladies?
It's pretty much as what you expect. Like I said, the last couple of years, London or Callan really has been the one that's kind of been dominating the last few years. We'll see how they do, once they get into the playoffs, since they are going to be Division One. So, are they in the collision course with Davenport or Lavernia? That's going to be interesting there.
Yeah, because they were a regional semifinalist, right? Last year,
yeah
was
and then they made it a state a couple years ago too. And
London or Cal Allen did.
Callan,
right? Yeah,
and
yeah. These are the usual suspects on top. With the Pirates and Wildcats. Well, I guess this is
double Pirates.
Pirates, yeah. So the London Pirates and Cal Allen Wildcats on the girls' side. Those are two teams that have deep runs in the playoffs. So this is not too surprising to see them at top of the District 29.
And we know, and the reason why finishing first or second won't matter between the two of those, outside of bragging rights, is London will be D2 and Cal Allen will be D1. There's
that the color coding? So blue is going to be more like D2.
The D2,
Green will be D1.
D1.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but just looking at their enrollment, 540 out, unless Bishop, even if Bishop pops up, they would still be D2. So London will be in D2. There's no question. Cal Allen at 1180, they will be in D1 if they make the playoffs. So they'll be on separate tracks for that year. District 30 boys, Mission Idea North, 4-0, Hidalgo, 4-1, Far, Valley View, 2-0, and then it kind of gets in the mixed results here. I know Hidalgo, Valley View, and I think Idea North has been pretty competitive at least last year. I believe they were. I got my Idea schools right along those lines here. But any surprises on 30?
It's kind of the same thing. I mean, it was pretty much the Valley View moving up from 5A to 4A. They were looking at probably maybe being one of the favorites, in Region 4. But like I said, they have to deal with Hidalgo. Hidalgo, like I said, they won state title 2 years ago. So it's going to come down to those two. Mission, like I said, Idea, like I said, kind of the surprise right now, kind of leading the pack. But like I said, still early, so we'll see what happens.
And my color coding on this one's wrong. This was something I was implementing late, and I messed up on this one. Because 386 is less than 1300, just barely. But
well, I got a little snippet of behind the scenes on your PDF that you sent me today, Harry. So no, 52 pages. Yeah, you're fine.
And here's where we get real thin information. District 30, the only one that really has anything is Far, Vanguard, Academy, Rembrandt, 5-0, Valley View 3-1, and then Hidalgo Early College 1-1. But there's not enough really to kind of baseline here. I'm not sure if there's any. If you want to pinpoint maybe your favorites, not favorites.
I think it's an open race, but but I don't know, the Valley View girls team's been, like I said, they've been kind of the one that's been the consistent one each year for, as far as getting to the playoffs. But like I said, you have all those kind of the charter schools that it's kind of diluted a lot of the talent around. So that's why it's making things kind of more even and so forth. So, but like I said, we'll see what surprises. We probably won't see many of them coming out after round 1 or 2. So, but like I said, we'll see how the playoffs
moving to 31 boys, kind of very similar with 31 girls. I don't think I have anything for 31 girls. Progresso undefeated, 16-0, 4-0. Donna 2-2, and then everybody's got 1 or 2 outside of Raymondville. That's unfortunately off to a slow start. I know Rafa pre-show said this is the Progresso Invitational for that here as far as for the Red Ants. they are a quality team, so you got to pay attention to them.
You know, they might not even have somebody to contend them in Division II. If you looked at, you know, they're going to avoid like teams like.
No, they'll be Division One.
They'll be D1.
No,
They'll be D1.
Oh, they'll be D1 as well.
Yeah, because I don't think Raymondville. I don't think. Well,
unless Raymondville comes out of.
Well,
nowhere,
even if Raymondville does turn around, they still have the second highest.
Here's the interesting part. So they are going to do D1. So I probably got the color wrong. That second round game is probably going to be one of those Brownsville teams, and they can't take them lightly. So they could be. And then you got the second round game. Could it be could be Hidalgo or could it be Valley View? So it's not a gimme for them. They're going to have to beat some quality teams.
So speaking of 32, Brownsville Idea Frontier, Port Isabel 3-0. Brownsville Idea Riverview 2-1, Rio Hondo La Feria. This one's also kind of real mixed when you get down to the Valley Brownsville schools on reporting at 4A, 5A and 6A lot better, but at the 4A region, it's still a struggle for it here. Any thoughts on the Idea college prep schools that seem to be dominating down in the Valley?
Looks like they're stealing all the talent from Porter and Rivera and Lopez, and I mean, especially Hannah, because Hannah's not doing well this year. So I think this one's kind of like whoever is playing well is probably going to end up, in the playoffs. Like I said, I think I think all the teams are pretty much even. It's just who gets hot at the very end, and I think it's the same thing with the girls' teams too. Yeah, whoever gets it's consistent at the very end.
And I think for 4A on the boys' side, anyways, I think it's the Progresso and Renash Invitational, right? Progresso, especially with that 16-0 record that they have already posted so far. So I'm curious to see what their results are, though.
So here's the thing: is and I'm not going to put we got to see how the matches match up here, but Progresso would get the runner-up in 32 for the first round.
So it'd be Rio Hondo.
Then in the second round, they would get the winner of 30 and 29 runner-up for that here. So that's so for Progresso. You'd figure the first round is going to, and this is no disrespect to the teams in 32 because we got to see how it shakes out. But based on history and performance, it seems like they'd be moving on until that. They're going
to have to play either Los Hidalgo or Valley View. I know Progresso's coach is a former Valley View head coach. That'd be interesting if they face off each other because that'd be like the. And then the Valley. Well, it's funny that the Hidalgo coach, the former coach, is now the Valley View coach. So they're kind of rotating around jobs there. But that'd be interesting if they do face up. Because that's going to be the key there. Whoever kind of, if the Progressives kind of get out of the Valleys, they're going to have to be one of those two teams.
And the reason why I wanted to try out just our side of the bracket for the bracketology, one, just to kind of test to see how it looks. But two, just to kind of get a picture of, on the 6A side. And maybe next week I'll do 5A or 4A as far as through that here. But moving at 5A, Region 4, District 25, Leander Glen, Cedar Park 2-0, Leander Lions 1-0-1, Lockhart 1-1, although that was their first loss. Liberty Hill 2 draws, Leander Rouse 1 loss, 1 draw for that here. Anything that sticks out as far as for District 25?
Surprised Rouse has a loss, because they've been like I said, they're one of the two teams last year that made it to their Final Four for Region 4. Glenn, you could say, look what they did last year. They're back at it again. I'm sure they're going to be a favorite coming in from the Austin area. surprise Lockhart soccer could be the surprise this year, even though they got their first loss. But I would keep an eye on that Liberty Hill team. I think they may be the dark horse for that district.
Yeah, for me, the dark horse is going to be is Lockhart, just due to the fact that they historically are not one that you kind of see coming out of this district too often, and like I was talking about earlier with Floresville, Lockhart is a team that I've played against
several times, yeah.
at the club level, and they've got a really good program and thing going over there in Lockhart as far as the soccer community, and it's starting to really grow, not just on the boys side, on the girls side as well. They're starting to put some good results together. So yeah, there you go. 8-2-1. So that community's probably a little bit more rapid pace than I would say that Floresville is. But that's just goes to show, hey, when you really bring that community together, it can happen on both sides, starting at the early ages, and they're on the right path. So it's not just a barbecue town anymore, right? It's turned into a soccer community as well.
So, and on here, I got to pay attention to the colors here better. Leander Rouse, 2-0. Cedar Park Timberwolves, the Lady Wolves, 2-0. Lockhart Lands, as you mentioned, 1-0-1. Liberty Hill, 1-1. Buda Hayes and Leander Glen, 1 loss, 1 draw, and then Kyle Lehman, the only one that's 0-2 through here. But your thoughts on District 25? I know Steve mentioned the Lockhart Lions already here. Any surprises? I know Leander Rouse has been one that you've been tooting for a little while there, Rafa, pardon me.
Yeah, well, also, like I said, I got to see Lockhart play too, and I got to talk to their players after the game against Harlan, and I was impressed. Like Steve mentioned, that you can tell that, and even talking, I think even talked to their club coach and said they kind of realized that they had, in order for them to compete in this district, off season they had to play very competitive soccer to get prepared. It shows, and like I said, they're off to a good start. Like I said, I think they have a really good chance of getting a playoff spot. Leander Rouse, like I said, they've been a dominant, the last few years. I'm a little surprised Leander Lions are down. Maybe it's a rebuilding year for them. Because remember they've had some good teams the last couple of years. Liberty Hill, another great team. Like I said, I don't Coach Kyle's familiar with them because they got to play them last year. They're going to be, I think, in the mix. So I think there's, like I said, I think there's about 5 teams that are going to be in the mix as far as playoff spots. But I think, the district championship might come. Like I said, Cedar Park may have a say. You
didn't mention Buda Hayes. You mentioned 5, but you mentioned Leander who's in 6. What about Buda? I'm just saying they're 8-1-1.
So Buda Hayes, they're one of those teams that have been there on the boys and girls side for 15, 20 years. They usually have a pretty competitive team. Cedar Park is another one that's very, very competitive. That being said, don't forget Rouse took the El Cucuy to a shootout last year at state. So Rouse, they might have redemption in their name this year, Rouse Redemption Raiders. So they've been battle tested as far as going all the way to state. They've seen the state champion and such. So they know what it takes now, and so to have a very successful season. I know that when I went last year, they had I came across some friends that I know that are college coaches and not their scouts, but the actual head coaches. And they were out there to see, a couple players from the Leander schools and Rouse being one of them. So, I know that they're definitely on the radar of D1 schools, like the talent that's out there as far as, their girls team and probably their boys team as well. But I know in this case, it was a girls team that they were, looking at some of the players on their roster. So, but yeah, no, that's who I kind of see I know that it's a very competitive district. I mean, even Leander in 6th place. Like, look at their record. 6-5-2. That's pretty competitive, and I'm pretty sure that those are against quality opponents, non-district record. So, this is one of those district that it's brutal just to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
Two interesting things about Leander Rouse. They have a win over Swinson Valley. And they have a win over Lake Highlands. The only loss that they had was to A&M Consolidated, who I had in my RPIs for statewide. And also they had a tie with Pflugerville Hendrickson, who also made it to state last year. So from Region 3. So they know, as far as they have to be battle tested. And like I said, they know, because when they're facing like a team like Wakeland and all that, they got to be prepared. So I think they're going to be a tough one. Like I said, they're probably going to be the favorite again for Region 4.
So this is the district we've all said going into the season, watch out for both on the boys and the girls. 5A, District 26, Piper 5-0, Bernie 4-0-1, New Braunfels 3-1, Alamo Heights 2-0-2, Kerrville Tivy 1-4. Bernie Champion still winless, both on the year, but 1-3 in district. Smithson Valley maybe a little bit shocking, 1-3 in district, and then you got Veterans Memorial and Wagner. But your thoughts on their Piper? Piper seems like they're loaded, at least come district time so far.
Yeah, maybe not as strong as they were last year, but still good enough to kind of do some damage in this district. But like I said, don't count out the Bernie Greyhounds. Remember, they made it to the state final last year. For
4A, right?
For 4A,
because they moved up.
And Coach Strong, he's got that pedigree. With what he's done with that program, and I'm sure they're surprising some teams right now in that district. But I'm not surprised where they're at now, because I know the type of team they are. Like I said, this is a group of death. This is the group of death, the boys and the girls. And I'm a little surprised Swinson Valley boys and Champion are kind of there, but maybe they'll kind of get it together and start contending. The key is, like I mentioned, the other one, like the other districts, is stealing points when you're the away team. If you can at least get a win, would be big, but even a tie can help out in the long, because I think it's going to come down to who. There's going to be some tiebreakers, and there's going to be some head-to-heads. There's going to probably who gets that last spot in the playoffs. And it's going to be a shame, because there's, like I said, there's at least 6 teams here that could probably make the playoffs in other districts, and so it's like I said, this is just how competitive this is.
Yeah, it is a competitive district, and I'll say this about Vets Memorial. They're 0-4-1, but they lost to Bernie 2-0. So to me, that's kind of eye-opening that they, lost by that close of a margin, to a team that, yes, they were 4A, but they've won state, 2 out of the last 3 years and such. And for them to be right there with Bernie, another result that they had was 1-1 with Bernie Champion, as well as, 4-1 against New Braunfels. So, but that's what Rafa was talking about. That's what it could come down to, a slip up against, a tie, I should say, against a team like Vets Memorial. That could be the make or break for finding the 4th or 3rd spot, or even maybe unfortunately coming out 5th because of the draw against a team like that. So, watch out for them, especially in the second part of district, when they've already seen these teams, they can make adjustments and such. But yeah, like this is one of those. This is the district, as far as from head to toe, as far as competitive teams on the boys and the girls side for 5A, in 4A, in region 4.
Yeah. So speaking of girls, Piper 4-0-1, Smithson Valley 3-0-1, Alamo Heights, New Braunfels 3-1, Bernie Greyhounds 3-2, Bernie Champion 3-2. Kerrville, Tivy 1-4, and Wagner and Veterans Memorial for that here. But I know we could probably rinse and repeat the same conversation we just had. But your thoughts on the ladies in 26?
Yeah, go ahead, Rafa.
Go ahead, Steve. No, go ahead, Steve. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just gonna say I think this one's every match is gonna be a drag out. Hey, let's try to get either a draw or 3 points, some sort of result out of this. It's going to be very, very tough. Unfortunately, Wagner Vets Memorial probably not as competitive on maybe on the girls side as we've seen it on the boys side as far as the results that we've seen so far. But even Kerrville Tivy, that's a team that you don't want to take lightly in this district. I had the opportunity. So when I first came on to the show tonight, I had the opportunity to go out to Piper and Smithson Valley, but that fog really got pretty thick on my drive out there, where I had to use my GPS to know where I was exiting. I couldn't barely see the exit. So that kind of told me, especially being 45 minutes from my house, it was a trek to get out there. I made the executive decision to do the turnaround and head back home. And, I looked at the score the next day and it was 0-0. So I think I made the right decision. I'm sure it was a good game on the field. I'm not sure if I would be able to see too much of it, due to the fact that that fog came in pretty thick on Tuesday night. But live to see another day, right?
Yeah, you got to be safe. And like I said, the fog was even bad at the north side fields, let alone further up north, and especially getting more rural areas where it comes in a little bit thicker.
Yeah, I had in Salado too, with the rain too.
It was wet, but it wasn't really rainy for District 27 boys. Burbank, Lanier 3-0-1, Edison 3-1, Fox Tech 2-1-2, Jefferson 2-1-1, Brackenridge 2-2, Seguin 1-3, Highlands 1-4, and Sam Houston still winless. Your thoughts on 27 boys there, Rafa?
Well, the Lanier boys, I think they were coming in as one of the favorites. A little surprised Burbank, they're right there, total neck and neck with them. Edison, like I said, year in, year out, they've been a consistent team in this district as far as making playoffs. A little surprised Steve's alma mater's on the fifth spot. Fox Tech's ahead of them.
It's early.
I know my old Coach Gabriel, my old DOC from Mission City. He's a Fox Tech alumni. I'm sure he's loving it right now. So, but like I said, this has always been a competitive district. You got some quality players. It's still early. I still think Jeff will make a move. I think they'll get back in the mix. But I think, like I said, the real surprise is Burbank. Burbank, I don't think they were really kind of looked at as making any noise in the district. Maybe kind of in the middle of the pack. But it's going to be key how they line up with the Lanier going into the see if they can steal the district title from them.
Yeah, Burbank's got a really good start to district. Their one tie was against Fox Tech, who's actually a pretty good squad. But that being said, Burbank's results have been against Brackenridge, Highlands, and Sam Houston. So they still have to hit the meat and potatoes of the district as far as the Laniers, the Edisons, and the Jeffersons. So, but a great start. Yeah, they're putting points on the board, as far as getting those 3 points and the tie, I think. So this district was shuffled a little bit where Alamo Heights is out of it. They moved to another district, and MacArthur as well. And then Seguin came into this district, and then I believe Fox Tech came into this district, right?
Moved up from 4A.
Yeah, from 4A. So it's a little shuffled now, but this is kind of the SAISD district that I kind of grew up playing in. So you're seeing a lot of those teams back playing against one another, with Alamo Heights and MacArthur kind of out. But
so
go ahead.
I was going to say, so actually big game tomorrow. So Burbank plays Lanier tomorrow at 5:30. So this is a key. I'm not sure they're playing at Spring Sports or at Alamo. Probably more likely at Spring Sports. But
they're playing at SAISD.
Okay. So yeah, they're playing at 5:30. So if you have a
This
chance,
is one
like
of
I
the
said,
ones that I sent you to for on tomorrow's radar as far as games to watch. So yeah, they're over at SAISD. So yeah, that'll be kind of their first test of hitting the meat and potatoes of the district. So yeah, that'll we'll kind of see where it kind of comes to play after that result. But yeah, no, it's a sneaky good district for 5A on the boys side.
So moving over to the girls, Highlands 5-0, Edison 4-1, Seguin 3-0-1, Jefferson 2-0-1, Burbank, Brackenridge, Fox Tech each with a district win for that here. So, but Highlands seems to be the one that's took the mantle so far early in the year with Edison hot on their trail.
Yeah, this is a little surprising because normally it's in the past has been like Jefferson and Edison, the top two teams, but this could be the year Highlands lays claim to the title, and also Seguin may have a word too. Like I said, they're not far, finally kind of getting out of that group of death to kind of playing teams here that can match up, and like
more
I said,
their level.
I got to see Seguin play. They actually gave the Bernie girls some fits, for a half. It took them a while to finally get to score on Seguin. So, like I said, I think they're going to have a good chance, I think, for them to get the playoffs. But I think these are your four more than likely going to be the ones going on to the next round. But we'll see if Highlands can finish it off and win the district.
Yeah, I agree with Rafa. I think the top four that you see here, those are going to be your playoff teams going forward. I just don't see it playing out any other way. Anything can happen, right? It's still very, very early in the district. We still have a lot of games to play, but more than likely, at least three of these top four teams should advance.
Moving to 28 boys, the best team that I think that I've seen in 5A, at least for Region 4 Southwest, 10-0, 5-0. They did have a overtime win. I forget who it was against for that here. But they did have one little slippage, if you could say it is. MacArthur got a somewhat controversial win against Jay on Tuesday. I'll say Coach Poor was probably the most upset I've seen him over the referee not being in the proper position. He felt for the only goal that was scored. It looked offsides, but it counted. So congratulations to MacArthur for getting the tough win. It was a fun game to watch. Physical, both teams showed their talent. Jay unfortunately came up a little bit on the short end. Southwest Legacies continuing from their late push from last year for that here, where they're 4-1, and of course they do the points, not necessarily wins. So 15-13, and then McCollum right now is at 9 points. Jay's just out with 8. CC wins at 6. So Southside and Harlandale each with 5, and unfortunately South San as well. Unfortunately, still struggling. Unfortunately, in 28 for the boys here. Your thoughts on 28? I won't lie to you. Southwest is the class of this. I've seen. I don't think I've seen Southwest Legacy yet, but I've seen most of the others. I was super impressed with Southwest. I know I keep highlighting them, but
Legacy. I don't think last year they kind of gave them some fits. Mm-hmm. I think it's a Clásico. So all records are pushed aside. It's about pride, about who gets bragging rights on the district. Being in the same Southwest ISD district. So I know they've always played them tough. So, and I think they're playing on the 4th of February so Legacy will go to Southwest on that day. So that should be a good one there. Like I said, MacArthur, I think they hung around because remember, I think Steve, you sent the scores, right? They were hanging around and so something happened in the second half that
Yeah, so I was there in I was at the Comalander Blossom facilities last Friday, and so I was watching Lee and Brandeis over at Comalander, and then at halftime I hopped over to um, back west over at Blossom, and so it was 2-1 Southwest, and they were pretty much dominating a very good and skilled MacArthur team, right? And there's started. I'm not going to get on the refs or anything like that, but I know that their fans were, kind of a little after some of the calls that were being made, and you could tell it kind of not necessarily bothered the players, but they responded in such a positive way where they just took their game to this next level.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really neat to see them play. And I'll second what you said, Harry, as far as the best team that you've seen play this year. For me, absolutely. And I saw Brandeis and Lee play. And Southwest Dragons, I mean, just the way that they play, the way that they attack, the way that they defend, it was very, very beautiful game to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the bandwagon, right? I once I've seen it, and I saw them last year too. But there's something about this team that they just look like they're ready to, make that run. And we've seen it time and time again. District, they plow through the district, and then once they hit the playoffs, it's a different story. But some of the I do want to make a couple recognition. I did speak to someone on their side. So some of their top scorers is Cesar Angel Angel, 13 goals already in 10 games. Caleb Barajas, 10 goals. Sebastian Huerta, 5 goals. Alfred Plasencia, 4 goals. So yeah, they've got some high-powered players, and just the way that they play and some of the chemistry that they have together is just really, really neat to see. So I'm looking forward to going out to see them play a couple more times, hopefully before the playoffs comes around. But yeah, that's one team that is just if you have not seen them in San Antonio yet, go out there and watch them, because that's the way that's the beautiful game should be played.
To me, the reason why I say they're the best team, and I saw Lee couple nights or couple nights or the week before. But Southwest, and AJ mentioned this because the boys talk to each other and with the club, and they know people on different teams. But the Southwest team, both varsity and JV, played the same way. The passing was crisp. It's like they knew where and no offense to Jay or the other schools that I've seen, you would have 3 or 4 good passes, and then it would kind of fall apart a little bit. But Southwest was able to ping it, cross it left to cross it back across. It was just nice. But I know Rafa's going to come in with some heart, some truth here, and kind of put some water down, saying, "Hey, we've seen this before from Southwest." You're on mute.
You're on mute.
I think they're prepared for teams in Region 4, like your Brownsville Lopez, your Rivera's, because they did play Rivera at a scrimmage. Austin Bowie's kind of down this year, but from my measuring bar, the one I have, can they measure up to is El Cucuy. That's the measuring stick right there. Yeah. And maybe that's for next year is to take a little trip to Dallas. Maybe that Allen showcase, maybe that North Texas Elite showcase. See, maybe play El Cucuy.
Instead of going to Georgetown?
Instead of going to Georgetown. Like I said, that was good to go to Georgetown. You took care of business and what you need to do, and that was great. If you want to be considered elite, you want to be where the Cucuys are at, that's, like I said, that's going to be interesting. If they can win, I think they have a good chance of winning Region 4. But you also, like I said, you have that Leander Glenn team too.
Right.
That's going to be a great. I think if they play each other, that's going to be a great matchup. So wherever they play, and this year, remember, they're not going to play in the Valley. So this game could actually be in San Antonio, or it could be in Austin, or it could be in San Marcos because of the way the playoffs is formatted now. So that'll be interesting, and then we'll see how they match up with the Region 3 team. You got some quality teams over there in Region 3, like Kingwood Park, and you got Friendswood, the Rosenberg Terry. Like I said, I had them in my RPI. So, but I think, like I said, I've seen them play. Like you guys said, they're very good. They're probably, like I said, the top team here in San Antonio, top team probably in the region. And like I said, we'll see. Can they? You can't believe your own hype. You just got to play one game at a time. Focus on that, because when you start kind of believing the hype, that's when things start to kind of, like I said, because sometimes what happens in the situation that you're behind, you're losing a game. Everything's been going right for you all season. What happens if you fall down a goal or two? But like I said,
you went to a game where they got down in the first minute, and I know there was some referee shenanigans late in the game. But they came back and responded.
They were able, yeah. And that's the thing. Can you respond back once you get punched in the face? Can you respond back to that? And like I said, I think they're equipped for that. Like I said, I think they should. Like I said, they should win Region 4. But like I said, they got some obstacles. Like I said, with Glenn and Lopez, and possibly even maybe a rematch for Rivera too. But I think they have a good chance, and we'll see where they can go beyond there against that game against Region 3, and maybe. Possible showdown with El Cucuy.
Yeah, and one final thing on that. So they do have a hashtag. So it's hasta el final. So they're looking to go all the way to state. But that being said, there is something that I see when I go, because I go to the state tournament and such, is their bench, right? So El Cucuy, who is Frisco Wakeland, and not just them, but when you're going up against those teams, they have they're extremely deep, and when they bring in their subs, they play usually 16 to 18. Yeah. There's no drop off. And so when those, reserves come in the match, it's, and your boys have already been playing 25, 30, 35 minutes, and they're already exhausted. The level does not drop at all. Sometimes it even increases. So that's one thing that I would like to challenge the Southwest team is, if you're winning a match, 5-6-0, you really want to start putting your bench players in and getting them minutes to, get some reps in. You don't want to go up, and maybe get to a regional, final or this or that, or maybe even state, and not have that, that deep bench. Of course, injuries are going to happen here and there, but that being said, those teams from Dallas, they play 16 to 18 in a match.
And I will say this: when Jay played Southwest, pretty much on every stoppage, Southwest was subbing somebody, one or two players in. So I do think that's that strategy we were talking about, keeping players fresh, keep playing the rotation and adjusting the lineups. And I know it was early in the year, and they were up, they had got up on Jay relatively early, but you could, and I've seen them do it a couple of times where they do cycle the players in and out, every other stop and play.
Yeah, because that's what Midlothian did last year. They had to take up another notch to take them out, because those Dallas area teams, they don't let up. Even on the girls' side too. You look at Prosper and Marcus and all them, they don't let up at all.
They got the depth.
So speaking of the girls, there's 5 teams, and it's a horse race. You got Southwest Legacy 5-0, 14 points. Jay Southwest at 12. Well, Jay Southwest, McCollum, and MacArthur all at 12 points. Jay lost to MacArthur. I think it was 2-0 here, recently. So, but to me, you got 5. The 5 teams battling for 4 slots, and then you got South San. South San was, I saw them play Jay on a Saturday. They were, they're a little bit unlucky. Against John Jay, probably should have came away with the draw at least for it here. Harlandale, Southside, and Eagle Pass win. for that here. But this one, our buddy RC Audio, he mentioned if the 4-1 teams all won, Southwest Legacy would go from first to out of the playoffs. Just with the results here, so.
Which could happen tomorrow, because Southwest Legacy is at McCollum, and then they finish off Tuesday with Southwest. So, things can really change here in the blink of an eye.
And I've seen I got to see McCollum a couple weeks ago against MacArthur, and their crappy coach over there at Mac. But no, just kidding. No, we love you, Hector. No, but McCollum, I was
he hasn't popped in with some sort of Real Madrid.
That's probably past his bedtime. But yeah, no, he I was very impressed with both teams, MacArthur and McCollum. But with McCollum, they have their two good little midfielder and a forward, number 3 and number 5. I really like the way that they played well together and move the ball around. And traditionally, it's a team that just plays kickball and then go chase it and maybe try to score. But no, this McCollum girls team, they were putting some passes together, and their buildup was really nice. As far as MacArthur, the way that Coach Cano's team plays, man, he's got some really strong girls down in the back, as well as some talent in the midfield. And some speed up top as well, so he's got a good core, a good quality team as well that can that's definitely competing. And this is one of those districts where it's going to be very dramatic to see what happens. This is going to go all the way down to the final week of match play to see who comes out, and it wouldn't surprise me if the top team could maybe get pushed out in the final week as well. This is one of those districts where it's, everyone's,
there's going to be a quality team that's going to miss. There's no question.
Crawl in and just for every point in this district. It's a very competitive district on this girls' side. A little bit more so compared to the boys on the 28 District 28 boys side.
Yeah, me and Harry got to see Jay play plus number 8 Placentas.
And there was a standout, right, for Jay that y'all had mentioned. I think it was Harry that number so-and-so. Number 8 for John Jay. I didn't catch the name, but
last name was Placencia, I think. Yeah. She had a Golazo. Okay. Yeah. And she might be
I think she's going to St. Mary's, I think. So. She might be one that's going.
And they were missing. Well, we were told that they were missing one of their midfielders, number 7, right?
And the defender.
Yeah. So Jay wasn't even 100%. But like I said,
she was a A&M SanAntonio commit, number 7. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but also, like I said, like South San. If you kind of looked at some of the games, they've lost some close ones. Like they're kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. They got blown out in one game, and then they gave, I think they
had chances against Jay. They had chances. Yeah. They just couldn't finish.
They tied Legacy 0-0. They ended up losing in a shootout 3-1. So, so that South End team could be a little spoiler there.
Yeah,
to steal some points. But I think, speaking of somebody as far as with this district, is whoever is the one that it's peaking at the right time and finally gets it together. I think that's the one that's going to end up winning this district. But it's going to, like I said, it's going to be a shame that one of them is going to be out of it.
And one thing to keep in mind, this is the one that I was talking about here. Legacy at 2142, Jay at 2132. So there's a 10 child split or athlete split, however you want to word it, between D1 and D2 for that here. So, and then, this is where it kind of can get close depending on where you fall for that. District 29, Flower Bluff 6-0, Gregory Porton 3-0-1, Veteran Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial 3-1. Corpus Christi Carroll 2-1, 2-3 for Miller for that here. So this one's a little bit sketchy as far as games played and reporting. But your thoughts quickly on the 29 for boys there, Rafa?
Your top three teams are kind of like, so those are the ones that year in, year out make the playoffs. So I know Flower Bluff. I think me and Steve saw them play last year at the Alamo Heights tournament. So they have some talent. They're a talented team. Same thing with Veterans Memorial. A little surprised with Gregory Portland this year. I think this could be their year to try to maybe capture that title for them. And I think from 4 to 9, it could be an open race who gets that last spot.
Moving over to the ladies, Gregory Portland 10-2, 6-0. Flower Bluff, the Lady Hornets 4-1. The Corpus Christi Ray Texans 3-2. Veterans Memorial 4-2. Carroll at 2-1, and then Corpus Christi King 1-1. Your thoughts on 29 for the girls?
Like I said, same thing with the boys. Gregory Portland, like I said, probably one of the best teams in the Corpus area. But like I said, Flower Bluff, Veterans Memorial. The surprise is actually Corpus Christi Ray. I'm real surprised that they're. Usually it's like a fight between Carroll or King, but so maybe this is
still early,
for the Ray Texans.
So moving to District 30, Laredo Nixon 10-1, 4-0. Laredo Martin 3-0-1. Rio Grande City 2-0-1. Juarez Lincoln 2-1-1. La Jolla Palmview 1-1, Mission 1-1. So it's still very early, for that here. But any surprises?
Usually, Juarez Lincoln is usually kind of the class of this district, but so that's kind of a little bit of a surprise to see. But no, I mean it's still early in the district, so we'll kind of see how it plays out. I don't know necessarily who they've played so far. So as well as Laredo, Nixon and Martin, who they've played as well. So, but yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
I actually got to see Nixon play. They're a very talented team.
Yeah,
and Martin's also some talent too. But I think they had a little setback with Rio Grande City. But usually, like I said, you mentioned Juarez Lincoln is usually the team that's in first place, and this might be a little rebuilding year for them. And I wouldn't be surprised also they're in the dogfight with Roma. Roma is another team that can surprise some teams in this district. But I think this is Nixon's opportunity to win this district, finally take it away from Juarez Lincoln.
For the ladies, District 30, Juarez Lincoln 3-0, Palmview 3-1, Mission Veterans Memorial 3-2, Laredo Martin 3-2, Laredo Nixon 2-1, and then there's kind of a gap to Rio Grande City and Figueroa and Roma and Mission. But your thoughts on the District 30 ladies?
Yeah, usually the La Jolla girls pretty much dominate this district. Like I said, year out. Like I said, Veterans Memorial. I'm a little surprised that they're not one of the better teams, kind of compared to like with Sherryland and with Pioneer. I would think they would have just as amount of talent as those two teams. But like I said, I think this is probably going to be your usual suspects as far as getting into the playoffs again this year. We'll see between Martin and Nixon who gets that last spot.
Moving to 31 boys, McAllen 5-0, PSGA Memorial 3-1, Sherryland Pioneer 2-1, PSGA North 3-2, Mission Sherryland 3-2, and then kind of a gap to McAllen Row for that here. But for 31 boys, any thoughts on McAllen? A surprise or historically one of the teams
they're good?
That's a surprise. I think that's a surprise because Sherryland is usually the team.
Right. Yeah, Mission Sherryland's usually the team, but every once in a while you'll see a McAllen or a Rowe, Rowie up there. But yeah, no, we're used to seeing the Rattlers, I should say, the Sherryland Rattlers up there, at top of this district.
And of course, it's still early.
Still
and then for the ladies, McAllen Memorial 4-0, Sherryland Pioneer 4-1, McAllen Bulldogs 3-1. Then Enberg Vela, McAllen Rove 2-2, PSGA Southwest 1-1, and then kind of a drop off from there. Any stands out or anything we need to be on the lookout for 31 ladies?
Well, Pioneer upset McAllen this week.
Oh,
that was their first win against them in a very long time. So I think the Pioneer girls might be for real. We'll see how they match up against McAllen Memorial. Because remember, Memorial was the team that went deep last year until they ran into the Leander schools. Because it was basically Leander versus McAllen.
Yeah, because it was McAllen Memorial and the Mustangs and the Bulldogs advanced to the regional semifinals against the Leander teams, and then the Leander teams had a lot to say about that. So, yeah. 3-0, I think, on both sides. Yeah, I think 3-0 on both sides. So,
so this is my Rafa district. Never going against Brownsville. Brownsville Lopez 5-0-1, Porter 4-1-1, Harlingen South 4-1, Donna Redskins 3-3, Brownsville Rivera 2-2-1, Donna North 2-3. I think it's Rivera. Donna North is probably where you draw that line as far as contenders for the playoffs.
What kind of pace? My uncle's at pace, but there might be.
I think I did that the last time. I need to write that down so that way I don't get in trouble.
But I'm surprised Donna North is kind of in the middle of the pack. Last year they were the hottest team in the valley. As far as the boys' side, they kind of are right there toe to toe with Lopez and Porter. Like I said, these are the two teams that are going to have a lot to say. Well, here's the thing with the playoffs. If you kind of see it, Lopez and Porter are going to end up going D2.
Yeah.
So somebody might not get to play them this year if the stands stay the same. Now, unless Rivera sneaks in, like I said, Rivera still serves within striking distance, so they could sneak in, and but like I said, this year in year out, this is a tough district. So
yeah, it's kind of shocking to see Rivera not, in the playoff. They're in the hunt, but not in the top 4 at this point in time. But yeah, it's still about a quarter way into the season, maybe probably a little bit past that, but close to the halfway mark, I should say. But yeah, no, it's still early. We'll see how it kind of plays out.
No, because there's should be 18 matches, right? If you're playing home and away.
Yeah,
so
18 matches.
So you're about a third of the way in. So
a third of the way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Donna Chief, Harlingen South, Ed Couch Elsa, Brownsville Lopez, Donna Redskins, and then there's a game and a half gap to Brownsville Rivera as far as for the ladies. Thoughts on 32 ladies for 5A before we move to 6A?
I just realized that there are a lot of NFL team names in here. I mean, if the South Hawks could be the Seahawks, man, jeez.
The Raiders, Raiders,
Raiders,
Seahawks,
Cowboys, Vikings,
the Redskins, Cowboys, Vikings,
Chiefs, or maybe they'll change their name to Donna Commanders. Who knows? But yeah, no. Harlingen South is a team that's usually pretty competitive. Once the playoffs come around, I don't see them going too far. As far as playoffs are concerned, but yeah, I think they're kind of the head of the class as far as this district is concerned for the girls.
Yeah.
So moving to District 25 for 6A for the boys. Round Rock Westwood 4-0, Cedar Park Vista Ridge 3-1, Vandergrift 3-1, and then McNeil and Stony Point 2-2-1, Manor 2-2, Round Rock at 2-3, and then kind of a gap to Hutto and Cedar Ridge.
This is a really good, a tough, solid district. Not Yeah. So Vandergrift, we know about them now. They're on everyone's radar. They were, at state. They made a name for themselves. And that being said, they had a little slip up early in this district round over the weekend, last weekend, losing to McNeil. That was one of the games that I was kind of surprised, to see that result. But, who knows what the circumstances were for that match. And I'm sure they're going to make their way back to the top of the table. Just due to the fact that I did get to see them 2 or 3 matches last year, and they were pretty deep. And from what I recall, they were not very senior heavy last year. So that's a team that's I think is still going to pull out the district title, and it looks like they would probably go Division II. That being said, so depending on
Who's
who else, Vandergrift.
Yeah, Vandergrift go D2.
Yeah, they would probably be D2 because there's some pretty big schools in this district. But
We'll get to that at the end here. I promise you.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, McNeil, a solid team. Vista Ridge, Westwood, all the way down to Round Rock Dragons. So don't count 7th place Dragons out. I think it's we kind of already understand that the Hippos and the Raiders, it might not be their year, but for 1 through 7, it's going to be a fight for four spots.
Yeah. Hudde's waiting for that new school to open so I can drop down to 5A. But yeah, I'm surprised about Stony Point. Stony Point, they've won some good key wins in playoffs.
Yeah, we saw them a couple years ago.
Yeah. I'm surprised Round Rock's kind of struggling. Maybe they'll kind of get it together. Maybe they got.
But they're not really. Well, they're struggling in district, but overall their record's not. But so we probably have to look to see who they've played in district, because if they played.
But the surprise is Vista Ridge, because Vista Ridge was not there last year, and this could be. They got something special going on this year, so they may be a senior laden team.
So moving over to the ladies for 25, Round Rock 5-0, Vandergrift 4-0, Westwood 3-0-1, Vista Ridge 2-2, Cedar Ridge for the Lady Raiders 2-3, and then kind of a gap from there. But thoughts on the District 25 for the ladies?
This is a tough one too.
Yeah, this is another tough one. Round Rock, best donuts in the state. But the Dragons are a team to be reckoned with, as well as Westwood, Vandergrift. This is going to be tough. I think this one, instead of 7 teams, it's going to be down to about 5 teams. That's going to kind of be vying for the 4 playoff spots. But so those matches, that's where you got to really bring your A+ game when you're playing against any of those top 5 teams.
Moving to 26 boys, Diwali, 6-3-1, 1-1. Very early in district, Dripping Springs 1-0, Lake Travis 1-0, Westlake 1-0, Austin Bowie 1-1, the Austin Aikens, and then Austin Maroons, and I don't know how I had Diwali up at the top there. I didn't move it. Well, I guess overall record, just because of how early it was. On here's my justification, I'll say. For here, but this one looks 5 teams, at least early on, as far as to figure out who it's gonna battle out, depending on if you give Aikens a shot.
Yeah, that's the way it's probably going to play out, from Del Valle down to Bowie. And Bowie's kind of been one of the ones that's kind of been the hot team, the favorite, dark horse somewhat in the last 2 or 3 years. So, but I think this year is it's going to be more of the Westlake, the Lake Travis, and the team that Rafa and I saw a couple weeks ago, which is the Dripping Springs team. Very quality team. Really put some really good passes together, and not only that, but just creative, especially their right forward, number 7. Johnston, yeah, very creative out there, and that who played against Johnson High School But yeah, no, it was. This is going to be a very tough district to try to determine who is going to come out of it. But it will come down to those 5 though.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say just Bowie's kind of down this year because remember the last few years they were on fire. They were like the favorite to win the region. I think this is a rebuilding there for a year, but still they're still a dangerous team. I think that Dripping Springs. So out watching them, I think they could sneak like they did a couple of years ago. Make a little run. They just got the pieces. They actually played perfect.
And they'll be D2, yeah.
They play perfect Marcino ball, which they can actually pass from deep and actually put it to space. Even their goalkeeper can pass accurately, and I was impressed by what they did in that game. So to keep an eye on them, they may be that one too that make that run again like they did a couple years ago.
Yeah, maybe you'll be calling some of those names on your other podcast in the next couple of years. Who knows?
So 26 for the ladies. Lake Travis, 1-0, like very, very early in district. Westlake 1-0. Dripping Springs 1-0-1. Austin Maroons 1-0-1. Bowie 1-1, and DeValley and Inkins at 0-2. It's very, very early, but any thoughts? I'm assuming Lake Travis and Westlake favorites.
Yeah,
and
this
Dripping
one's not
Springs.
as and Dripping Springs. It's not as deep as the boys district, and it's a very small district. But this one is the quality is going to be the 1, 2, and 3. Be ready to see those teams make a move, and it looks like it's going to be, by looking at the enrollments, D1 will be, the Cavaliers and the Chaps, and then D2 would probably be the Tigers and Maroons.
Unless Bowie gets in. If Bowie gets in, Westlake will drop down.
Yeah, but that being said, the teams that are going to go deep is going to be the Lake Travis Cavaliers and the Westlake Chaparrals. So that's going to be, those are always the thorn in SanAntonio schools' side once we hit playoff rounds. Unfortunately for us SanAntonians.
Interesting matchup, like I said, if it stays this way, let's say Westlake finishes second, they may end up matching up with Round Rock the first round.
We'll get to that here soon.
We'll get to back soon.
Yeah. 27. Brandeis. I know that's in our chat's been kind of a surprise. Yep. Lee, 2-1. Madison, 2-1. Johnson, 2-1. Reagan, 2-1. Churchill, 1-2. But I think I'm assuming we're thinking this is a 5-horse race for the 4 slots.
Yeah. So I've seen Brandeis, Lee, Madison, Johnson, and Churchill play. I've yet to see Reagan play just yet. But this week I will be at Clark versus Brandeis. So I've seen Brandeis play twice. And so I saw them play against Medina Valley, and I saw them last Friday against Lee. And just we expected them to kind of fall off, especially from their kind of senior laden team last year. And if anything, to me, they look more like a team this year. They don't have the big names that they had last year, as far as their the Boston kid that was in the back, and then their striker Jake that was up top. But they're kind of like the team of not big names, nothing flashy. They just get it done offensively as well as defensively. So very composed against Lee. The way that they started off, they knew, and they kind of dropped back a little bit, not like park the bus or anything, but they were very organized. Brandeis was defensively and really executed defensively to intercept passes and cut off passing lanes for Lee. Anything Lee wanted to do on their side of the field, they were totally fine with that. But once Lee started putting pressure or coming into the Brandeis side of the field, that's when they really tightened up and closed off their passing lanes. But they were very, very disciplined and organized defensively. That's what impressed me. And then they counter really, really solidly. So I was very impressed with Brandeis, and like I said, I'll be watching them again this Saturday. But Madison is another team that they've got some really good, talented kids that I recognize from last year. So I believe they made the playoffs last year. I could be
Yeah, they
wrong.
did.
Okay. So they have some experience from the run that they had last year. So Madison's another team to watch out for. Johnson, I'm not too high on them just yet, just due to the fact that they did play a good little game against Dripping Springs that we did see, but they also were in a very, very close battle with Roosevelt, who's 0-3 so far in the district. And I understand that this is a very competitive district, but usually that's a game that they would probably win more than just a 2-1 result. But maybe they're still kind of building that chemistry. But they do have some talented players. Johnson does. The kid in the back, I forgot his name. I have it on a piece of paper over here. And then they had another kid, like a winger kid,
Right winger.
A right winger, so they've got some talent on their team though, but it might be a little bit of a rebuilding here for them. But I was impressed with Lee. Lee was very, very good against Brandeis, but to me, Brandeis was just very organized. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting district, and I'm curious to see Reagan as well, because they've their record doesn't state it just yet. But, I think that they've had some pretty tough matches, non-district matches, that they've put some decent results together. They didn't maybe win the game, but, they've come, had some good results against close results, I should say, against some quality opponents.
So for me, Johnson, and I wonder if they're going to be kind of a second half team, because I've seen them twice. And to me, it's I don't want to say they don't have leadership, but it's that leadership on here. Like I'll never forget the NISD showcase here where the coach was going on them where they couldn't even get their uniforms matching right, just basic things like that, where because they had a lot of talent last year that graduated for that here. I'm wondering if maybe the second half of the season, when they go through the second round there, where they find out who the true leaders of the team are, if that's going to help turn around. But yeah, to me, Johnson's, if we're talking about today, they were the team that I would think that may drop out if Reagan continues to push up. But Johnson, to me, out of these four, are the ones that I have the greatest concern on if they're going to be able to keep it up compared to between them and Reagan or Madison, because I think Lee and Brandeis are clearly above them.
And if you look at Brandeis, like I said, they also had a coaching change too, and
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And we were kind of thinking maybe the loss of the players that they had last year, and they may take a step back, but I think they've bought into what he's brought into this season, and the players are like Steve said, they're being disciplined, keeping their shape defensively, not allowing passes through lanes and so forth. Like I said, they probably not do have, like I said, maybe not have the superstars, but working as a unit is probably going to be the big key. And then also, like I said, their bench players too, or like I said, they don't drop off a bit. And like I said, but Lee also too, Lee's got a great talent. I got to see them play.
Yeah, Lee's elite.
It's going to be interesting when they play again. So, maybe Coach Rogers will have maybe some different adjustments, try to figure them out. I think the last, like I said, spots 3 and 4, I think it is going to come down to Madison, Johnson, and Reagan. And if you remember last year, Lee kind of turned it up at the very end and ended up getting that 3rd spot and knocking out Reagan out of the playoffs. So you may see that again this year. Whoever can get hot towards the end may end up pushing somebody out of that that last spot of the playoffs.
Yeah. So, and then one other thing. So, for as far as maybe college coaches that are out there, listening and such, go out and see Churchill play. They've got a kid on their team, Darwin. I forgot his last name, but he's number 7, and he's just a firecracker out there, and very, very talented. Not just that he's so fast, but very, very skilled and technical on the ball. And not only that, just and he's only a sophomore, just a leader on the field too, the way he kind of orchestrates his team around. I would recommend going to check out Churchill. And then one other thing, the two Johnson players that I was talking about was number 9, Kai Knowles, and number 8, was it 18? No, it was 19, Edevi Omakuru. So I apologize if I mispronunciate the name there, but yeah, we're all about, recognizing talent when we see it out there. And so that's why we do this kind of stuff to recognize the talent.
He was enforcer. That's one guy. Yeah, he ran away. He reminds me a lot of like Casemiro. Like he'll put a hurting on you, but doing it the right way, not just to get a card on that. But he really he had a presence there in that defense.
Yeah, but he was also offensive minded as well, so he would take the ball and dribble and find the open space and make those runs. I mean, I think he was laying on the field just because he was so gassed at one point, but then he got his, butt up and went back and defended as well. Like, so I was just very impressed with number 19, for Johnson.
For Brandeis last year, weren't they the team that had the suspensions for 5 weeks or whatever?
Yes.
I'm thinking that time, because from my understanding, it was a lot of the better players that were suspended during that period. That's why we're seeing maybe not that big drop off, is because the reserves last year, the quote unquote reserves, got that time to grow. Kind of like how we talk about Lee was young last year. I think that's why we're seeing maybe some of the benefits. I hate saying the benefits of a suspension, but I think for Brandeis this year, they're definitely benefiting from maybe the players that weren't scheduled to get a lot of time got more time due to those suspensions.
And I think that they have a set of either twins or brothers that are on the team, Williams brothers, that and maybe for the next show I can get a little bit more information on them, but they're very quality players and very skilled. But yeah, no, just very impressed by the coach that came on board. I'll have to try to dig a little bit more to find out more information on him as well. But, for him being a first-time coach, as far as, with this school, I don't know his background, but very impressed.
He came from Bernie Champion.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that kind of makes sense locally.
So moving over to 27 for the ladies, Brandeis 2-0-1, Reagan 2-1, Johnson 2-1. Clark 1-0-2, Lee 1-0-2, Madison 1-1-1. So probably 6 slots for the top 4. Still very early in district, but anything that stands out to you guys?
Yeah, it's good to see Brandeis up on top of the district or this early on. They've kind of been the bridesmaid the last couple of years and not making the playoffs. They come pretty close, but they just never get to it. But I think this year might be a little bit different for them. But you're going to see the challenge all the way from 1 all the way down to 6 is going to be the teams that are going to be vying for those 4 spots. So, but yeah, good start for Brandeis thus far. And like I said earlier, I'll see them this Saturday at Ferris against Clark.
Yeah, I got to see I got to see the Reagan girls play during that showcase, and very talented team. I know they have a loss, but hey, a loss here is, like I said, it's a very competitive, one of the toughest districts in the state, year in, year out. But I think they'll still be in the mix. Same thing with the Johnson girls. Like I said, they had a great run last year. I think they can kind of pull something again this year. But it's also good to see kind of Clark in it, kind of get it back, trying to get it back in it. Kind of the same situation like with Brandeis, and then Lee. Don't count out the Lee girls. Like I said, they made the playoffs last year. I think they're still talented enough to get back in and
turned around.
Turn around, and they could, like I said, they can change a lot of things as far as the scenarios, as far as who goes D1 and who goes D2.
Moving on to 28 boys, Warren 4-0-1, Brennan 3-1-1, Harlan 3-2, O'Connor 2-0-3, Sotomayor 3-3. Marshall Rams, who I saw, 2-3-1. Stevens, a respectable 2-3-1 after last year. Taft started off well, but I've heard they've got a lot of injuries right now. Unfortunately, 1-4, and Holmes, who beat Stevens, 1-5 in district for that here. But Warren's been one of the teams to beat this year.
Yeah, I've seen them play a couple times, and they're a very talented team. And I know, a couple of the players on the team just due to the fact that I've had the opportunity and been blessed to coach some of those players, and very coachable players as far as the ones that I've been able to coach. And it's really cool to kind of see that transform from, or transfer over from the, club side onto the high school side. And just very proud of the performance that they're giving on the field, but their teammates as well. They're a very attack-minded team. Rafa and I got the opportunity to see them last year, and it's kind of the same story, but just more intense. And we have seen Harlan kind of fall off a little bit. They're kind of on a 3-game little 2 or 3 game winning streak right now, but I think this district might be a little bit different as far as the boys side is concerned. And it's good to see Marshall, who came in over from the Northeast district. I know they're part of Northside ISD, but they came over from the Northeast district back into this district, and to see them, putting some results together and have a say in what's going on with this district is kind of good to see. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be a 1-6, maybe a 1-7.
The 1-6. Yeah,
I was being nice there, Harry. But
Stevens.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, but yeah, O'Connor has seen them play as well. They're them, and that was the tie that the Warren had was against O'Connor. But I'm curious to go see Harlan play. I've yet to see Brennan play, and I would like to see, Sotomayor play as well, because I do have a couple boys that I coached last year that are on that Sotomayor team.
Yeah, I've seen O'Connor play, and AJ has a couple of good friends on O'Connor. To me, like I said here, last year they had a down year where they missed the playoffs. This year, defensively they're very strong. I think if they had an elite level forward for that here, a little bit more consistency up top where their scoring was a little bit, they'd be able to take the next step. But O'Connor, like I said here, they had a tough match against Marshall yesterday for that here, or 2 days ago, I guess it was. So I was, like I said, Marshall, Harlan, Brennan, Warren, but, like I said here, to me, Sotomayor is the one maybe kind of catching me off a little bit because I know Jay played them in preseason and they were good. But, like I said here, but, and I know this may not be very popular, but I think this district's probably took a small step back from where it was last year. Overall, just the talent wise, I know talking to Lethal and stuff, he's a little bit more down on San Antonio soccer. I don't think it's quite as bad as he's saying. But I do think this one here, where Harlan's kind of took that step back, where they were the elite team, where everybody's kind of came back to the pack, for here. So this one I think is going to be wide open, depending on how it finishes out. Your thoughts, Rafa?
Yeah, remember we did talk to Warren's coach there at that one game when Jay played McCollum. Just talking to him, he mentioned about he's got some key players that I think this could be their year that they could win the district. And he said it's going to be a dogfight. He knows, Harlan's kind of been down, but they've found a way to bounce back up. And I think they're starting to kind of get things together. O'Connor, like I said, I remember we had Coach Bledsoe on the 50/50 podcast. He mentioned that we've had some key wins going on. They got a big win over Harlan, and they're trying to get back. Like I said, trying to get back into the playoffs. Like you mentioned, I think it could be a 6-team race. Which order? We're not sure yet. Brennan, like I said, they have a brand new coach that came over actually from Harlan. He was assistant coach at Harlan. He's really kind of shaped things there, and they're in contention. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, there's 16 district games. anything can happen. You saw how it happened the last few years with the girls. I think this could be the same scenario here with the boys this year.
So Taft 5-0 for the ladies, Warren 4-1, O'Connor 3-1-1, Sotomayor 2-1-3, Brennan 2-1-2, Harlan 2-2, and then kind of the drop off from there. And I know Rafa and I have kind of discussed this. We thought Taft might take a step back, but so far they haven't took a step back. So, and Warren's right on their heels as well as O'Connor. So, your kind of thoughts, Rafa, on the 28 ladies and Taft leading the charge, being undefeated so far in district?
Yeah, I remember talking to Taft's coach when I did a visit that they're at their school back in, I think, in December. Yeah, he was concerned they were going to be young because, like I said, they lost
a lot of talent.
A lot of talent. You know how do you replace that? You know, and I think he said if we could. He did mention about if we could kind of get it together early on. I know we're going to struggle a bit, but at what time we can get to district play, we can kind of turn the leaf there. I think that they'll be in good shape. Especially you got Madison there as your starting keeper.
The leadership,
leadership there. I think she's been probably the key there, kind of keeping the ship afloat. And like I said, look where they're at right now. Warren, I think, like I said, Warren, I think was going to be probably one of the favorites because I know me and Steve saw them last year, and like I said, they have the best midfield in the district. A little surprised O'Connor's a little down, I guess, even though it's still early on, but I'm sure they'll probably get together. We're expecting maybe Soto to kind of have a breakout year. Brandon started out pretty strong. I don't know if like I said, a couple of setbacks there, or maybe some injuries. But like I mentioned, and then Harlan, like I said, talked to Coach Villa. I think she had a really good start coming in. They're still in the hunt. So this is a 6-team race when it comes to these 4 playoff spots. And like I said, the last few years, especially the girls' side, one steals a win from another, and it's probably going to come down to the very last game.
It's these bottom 3 teams here. Holmes, Stevens, if they can week out draws. We've seen that the last couple of years where if you you not necessarily lose, but if you drop points to Holmes or Stevens, and because they do play tight, they may not have the talent level that the other 6 have. But they still do have a lot of fight, and like I said, here on any given day, they have shown that they can step up and snag a point or 2 from there.
Yeah, it's definitely a 6-team race with Harlan. I actually got to see Harlan girls JV yesterday, and I was very impressed with the JV team that Harlan has put together. And watch out for this. The Harlan girls in the next couple of years. They're very, like the interview that we had with Coach Villa, they're very sophomore. They've got a lot of sophomores that are playing, and some of the girls that I've coached in the past are sophomores. And so I got the opportunity to go see them yesterday, and very impressed with the way that they play and move the ball around almost at a varsity level, from what I saw yesterday. So I was very impressed with that. But no, big shout out to Mads and the Harris family with Taft. Kind of surprised us with that result over Warren last week. That was going to be a big clash, and I'm sure it was. And for them to get a 2-0 result against Warren was very eye-opening. But O'Connor, Sotomayor, kind of still trying to put it together. And Brennan is a team that I think is going to, have a big say-so as far as, getting, finding there. I think they're going to find a way into the top 4. Right now they're sitting at 5th, but yeah, I think the way when everything kind of shakes up, I think I was very impressed with what I've seen when I saw Brennan play a couple weeks ago, their girls squad.
So moving to 29, Rafa, I'll read the scores and then I'm going to step out for a second here. But Schertz is up 1-0 in district. San Marcos 1-0. East Central and Judson drew, and there's Canyon had a bye. Steele and Buda Johnson lost through there. Very, very, very early in district here. But I'm going to step out for a second if the two of you want to talk just for 30 seconds.
Sure. Yeah, this you could say this district just started this week. Usually, like I said, the clear favorite is going to be Clemens. I thought maybe, like I said, Canyon. I think Canyon may have a say on this because, like I said, they've played well the last few years in 5A. Just the jump to, like, especially in that district they play in, I think they can do some damage here in 6A. And a little surprised Steele with a loss. I thought they would probably be up there, but it's still early. But Stevie, I know you mentioned about San Marcos, in the past, as far as they've done well. And this there could be a surprise again, like they did last year.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that they're building their club up, or they're building their community up through their club side. So they've got Surge is a club that we played against. I know they also have Fusion is another club. And but yeah, no, that's a team to kind of watch out for. They got a 3-2 result against Buda Johnson this in their first opening match of district. But yeah, I think Comal Canyon Cougars will have something to say so in this district, and look for Steele to bounce back, as well as Buda Johnson. So this is one of those districts where I want to say it's kind of a 5-6 team kind of race for district, or I should say for the playoffs. But yeah, with we'll kind of see how it plays out. It's still extremely early right now.
Moving over to the ladies, same scenario. Buda Johnson 1-0, Judson 1-0, Steele 1 in district. Canyon actually has a bye. They didn't play. San Marcos 0-1, Clemens 0-1 in East Central. I put it. Unfortunately, got one happy with Como Canyon. But your thoughts on the ladies here? I know it's extremely, extremely early since they've only played one game.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I think it's going to be a 5-6 team kind of race for the 4 playoff spots. Look for Buda Johnson, I think, and Steele to kind of top the table. And which would those two teams would probably be the D1 representative for this district.
Yeah, Buda Johnson. Remember, they moved in from the district where they played Lake Travis at Westlake, and they made the playoffs last year. They were still in contention for the district title, so they moved over this year. I do know that they had a coaching change, so maybe that's when they had a little slow start during pre-district play. But like I said, I think they're going to be the favorite. Still will probably be up there. I would have caught out Canyon, even though Canyon lost to Canyon Lake and also to Davenport in pre-district. But hey, those are quality teams. But Canyons, like I said, are battle tested from that district that we're in last year with 26-5A. And then we'll see with the rest. I did get to see Clemens play when they played Reagan, and Reagan kind of, you can show they had a little bit more. But Clemens does have some but the thing is, Clemens does have some talent, and I think they might be a young team.
They started slow last year too, right? I believe it was the ladies that started slow, and then because I was counting them out, and then I think they ended up sneaking into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this year, because I think they lost a lot of from graduation. I know one of their players, Cheyenne Grant, she actually plays for us at UHV. So I think last year was like their senior laden team. So it's going to be an open race for, I think, especially for that 4th spot. But I think it's going to come down to Buda Johnson and Steele, for the top for the district title.
So moving to 30 boys, this is the Rafa home district. Del Rio Rams 2-0, Laredo United 1-0, Eagle Pass 1-0, Laredo South 1-0, Medina Valley 0-1-1, Laredo LBJ 0-1-1, and Alexander is the only one that's 0-2. Your thought on your home district here as far as with 30 boys?
The surprise is like Alexander 0-2, and I got to see Alexander play, and they played some really tough non-district teams to prepare for this. And I know they played at Del Rio and they lost. I think they lost 3-1. That's a little surprising there. a little surprised that Del Rio's at top right now. Like I said, I saw them play. Their defense would look a little shaky. That was the thing there. So how the back four was going to react? Are they going to be able to kind of get it together? And also, they didn't really have that one key number 9 up top. And like I said, they did have a good goalkeeper, so I know they would be able to keep them in. I still think the favorite's going to be Laredo United. But your dark horse is going to be those Eagle Pass Eagles. Keep really. I think they got some talent out there. We got to see it on the club side. They're in shirts, and they may do some damage this year. So keep an eye on them, and we'll see what Medina Valley does too. Like I said, I know this is first year moving up from 5A to 6A, but I think Coach Payne, will get them together. I think they can contend and maybe get that last spot of the playoffs. I think it may come down to between them and United South. And then a little surprise for LBJ, because LBJ usually has very talented squads, like really raw, talented players. To see them at 1-10, it's a little head scratching there. So, maybe it's a very young team, and like I said, they may not be able to do much this year. So, but I still think it's like I think it's a 5-team race, for the playoffs. But I think United's probably going to win in the district.
Yeah, I think Medina Valley is going to have a little say-so in what goes on in this district, and I know it's going to be tough. They moved up from 5A to 6A, but they did. The game that I did see them play was against Brandeis, and they did lose 3-0. But that being said, for a majority of the match, it was fairly even for that. So I think that's going to be one of those games that's going to really prepare them for this district. And I do have a kid that I coached last year,
Damien,
sophomore, Diego, that plays on AJ's club team. And so that the Medina Valley team is going to be they're going to have a say-so in this. I think they kind of got it started on the district, a little bit slow, but, look for them to kind of regain some momentum and put some good results together. But, that Eagle Pass team is playing under the Del Rio kind of, I think, name in the tournaments as far as club is concerned. But that Eagle Pass team, they've got some good ballers out there.
Moving over to the ladies, Medina Valley, 8-1-1, 2-0 in district. Alexander, 2-0. Laredo United, 1-0. Del Rio, 1-1. Eagle Pass, Laredo Johnson, United South, 0-2 for that here. But I know Rafa and I just kind of talked about Medina Valley, and as far as district winners, this is the one that seems like you're fairly confident as far as Medina Valley, with the talent that they have, should be able to pull away from Alexander and United.
I think that would be. I think it's going to come down to Medina Valley United. I know Coach Cano told me he played United last year, and he mentioned to me about they had some very talented players, lots of speed. It's going to be a very interesting game when they face each other the first time around. But I think whoever wins it, like I said, those are probably your two district favorites. And then as far as the last spots, like I said, it's going to come down probably like it's going to be Alexander had a big win over Del Rio. So they have already got a kind of foot ahead of them as far as the tiebreaker. So it's probably those four teams they're going to probably end up seeing in the playoffs.
Moving over to the 31 boys, these are smaller conferences for 31 and 32. Edinburgh Intermediates, they haven't started district yet, but 11-2. La Jolla 7-3. Edinburgh North 6-1-2, and then they kind of drop off, but they're there. But any favorites or any things you want to point out for the 31 boys? I know they haven't started district, so what we see doesn't really apply going forward. But
Edinburgh North was your regional finalist last year. I'm sure they were coming in as far as the favorite, but out of nowhere, Economides, they may be for real. They may be the Edinburgh North from this year, and going in. Also, La Jolla. La Jolla in the past, they've had some good teams when there used to be just one high school. maybe this is finally their year to kind of get that talent together, because normally Palmview and Juarez Lincoln kind of get the more of the kind of the chatter. But like I said, the La Jolla Coyotes, I think they may do some do some good things this year, and we'll see what Annenberg North does. I know, like I said, they haven't started district play, but I think it's probably going to come down to the Cotomides and North who wins that district.
Yeah, and actually last year North knocked out Economides in the third round. So, but it looks like they might be Division I, Division II this year. So, we'll see how it plays out.
Moving over to the ladies, Los Laco Panthers 14-1-1. Then Far San Juan Alamo Bears 6-5-2, La Jolla 8-7-2, and then the Edinburgh schools at least preseason or pre-district. Not the best records, but depending on how it plays out. But any thoughts on the 31 ladies?
Just surprised to see the Westlaco record at 14-1-1. That's fantastic start to the season. Of course, we'll see what happens when they start district.
Yeah, I think this is the first time. I think this is probably the best start they've ever had in a long time. And because remember they used to play in District 32, and even for the girls' side, that one's even a tough district. But now because you have Los Fresnos in there and Harlingen. I think them not being in that district, but gaining that experience from that, I think it's kind of helped them here, and I think they realize they're going to have to face one of those two in the playoffs. So, great start for them, and I think this, as far as the rest of the team, is probably going to be an open race for those 3 playoff spots.
And wasn't it the Westlaco girls in softball that won state last year? So
that Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you never know, right?
Speaking of 32 boys, five team conference. Los Fresnos 10-3-1, Brownsville Veterans Memorial, Harlingen Cardinals, Chargers. I don't know. I think I have that wrong. 6-7-1, Benito Greyhounds 5-3-2, and then Brownsville Hannah 2-9. No district play as of yet. Probably start next week, maybe this week for that here.
I mean, the odds to make the playoffs in this district are pretty good. So if you don't make it,
80%.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, that's tough if you don't make the playoffs here. But no, Los Fresnos and Vets Memorial are probably going to be the front runners for this district, and not just because of their overall record, but just due to the fact that that's historically what we've seen for the boys in 32.
And then Harlingen's kind of been an upstart. Like I said, they're starting to kind of, like I said, the Browns could usually get the showcase on there, but I think the Harlingen Cardinals are finally gonna. I think maybe they may surprise some teams this year, and we'll see. My dad's old alma mater, Hannah, can get things together in the district playing and try to get one of those playoff spots.
Yeah, and Harlingen is just the Cardinals, Harry. You can take out the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers are Veterans Memorial. Yeah.
Oh, so that's what I did. Okay, so I don't have it. Okay, so that's what I did wrong. Things you notice at 10:30 at night. San Benito for the ladies.
Well, my wife's from Harlingen, so I'm that's all I know.
I was like, Harlingen Cardinals.
She's Harlingen South, though. She's a South Hawk.
So Harlingen Cardinals 6-4, the Falcons 5-4, Brownsville Veterans 3-3-2, and 3-4 for Brownsville Hannah. So this one seems like it's wide open. Once again, 80% to make the playoffs.
I think it comes. The top 2 are going to be Harlingen and Los Fresnos.
Yes,
those are your 2 district favorites.
Yeah, I mean, San Benito's kind of got started off pretty well. I mean, shoot, they're already 20 games in. Damn. But
it was those 20-minute games.
Yeah. So the quarters.
This is per Max Prep. So I did notice because there was one that we had last year where they were like at 22, 23 games, and somehow they had gone through and cleaned it up. I've noticed
they've got 20 games, whereas Pearsall only has 1 game. So man, they need to get with the scheduler. But yeah, like Rafa said, Harlingen and Los Fresnos is probably going to be the front runners.
So let's do this here. So this is, we're testing this out here with the bracket here. 6A Division 1, Boys Region 4. This is how it would look. You would have Round Rock, and this is very, very, very early. So take this with a grain of salt. You'd have Round Rock Westwood Warriors facing off against the Valley Cardinals. Lee versus O'Connor. Then you would have East Central versus Laredo United South. Inberg Indomites versus San Benito Greyhounds. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, Lake Travis versus Cedar Park Vista Ridge. Brennan versus Johnson. Laredo United versus Converse. And Los Fresnos versus Edinburgh North. For D1 for Region 4 of the boys. To me, the league, the north side schools or northeast 27-28 schools, both of those are juicy matchups for me.
Yeah, the Austin matchups are going to be the kind of the highlight of these brackets, and then going into the I don't know if it's by district and area still, or how they're kind of naming these, but we'll just call it first round and second round for now. So the second round matchup with the right off the bat, in the second round you've got an Austin and San Antonio school. So that's going to be extremely difficult for the San Antonio schools to try to advance. But that being said, if you get out of that round, you've got a decent shot to get into the regional, final from there, because I think still right now, until proven differently, the cream of the crop is Austin right now.
So did you have any feedback, Rafa, before I move to Division 2?
I mean, it wouldn't be if this was the case, which I know we're not right now, but it'd be interesting to see another classic between Lake Travis and Lee. The battles that they had the last few years, and I think that'd be a really
they'd
good.
Be on different. They'd be different. It'd
be
Lake Travis versus.
That's what he's saying in the regional final.
Oh, in the regional final.
Which I think, if they do get to play, I think Toyota Field would be a nice place to play for a regional final.
Yeah, you got to give up that dream, man.
Just throwing that out there.
I mean,
make it happen, Matt.
Right. As long as there's a new scoreboard, right?
Hey, well, the scoreboard's down, and there is turf, or not turf, but new grass going out.
Grass going out.
So to me, Division 2 seemed, at least name brand wise, seemed more juicier. Vandergraft versus Austin Westlake, Brandeis Harlan, Clemens Eagle Pass, La Jolla Harlingen Cardinals, Dripping Springs Round Rock McNeil, Warren Madison Del Rio San Marcos, and Brownsville Vatsford Edinburgh North Cougars. So 8 juicy matches.
Yeah, so Division 2 looks a little bit more, the usual suspects that we typically see. We got the Vandergrifts, you got the West. I mean, what a first round match. Jeez. Then you've got, Brandeis and a Harlan. Damn,
matchup.
That's like a regional semifinal, both of those matches. And then Clemens and Eagle Pass. I mean, that I would love to see that game, So the way that this is kind of playing out, the D2 bracket is kind of like Harry's words, juicier, matchups. And then on the bottom part of the bracket, you've got Dripping versus McNeil, who just beat Vandergrift, and then you've got Warren and Madison. I mean, I'm there all day to see those matches.
That would be a really good game.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would definitely be at Warren versus Madison. I would love to see that matchup. That'd be a great match.
And then of course for that here. So then moving on to the ladies, and like I said, I only did 6A for here just to test it out for here, but we might try to do this.
It's fun
going forward. Round Rock Dragons versus Westlake, Reagan, O'Connor.
That's a regional final, right? That's a regional final right there.
Final in the first round.
I mean, if Round Rock or Westlake are watching, hey, you got to play that game at Q2 for that one.
Man, and then you got Reagan O'Connor.
Johnson, Laredo United, Waslaco, Los Fresnos, Lake Travis versus Round Rock Westwood, Taft, Johnson, Laredo Alexander, Steele, San Benito, and Edinburgh North.
I could see. So on the if we're gonna quarter these out, I would see Westlake getting out of there over Reagan, and then Buda Johnson over probably Los.
So you got Westlake beating Round Rock?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, Westlake was in the state championship last year.
State finalists, yeah.
So, but then it would be Westlake versus Buda Johnson, I would think. And then on the bottom half, I mean, Lake Travis versus, I would say I could see Taft getting past Johnson this year, but you never know until it plays out. But so Lake Travis potentially against Taft in the second round, tough matchup there. I think Steele has kind of got the bottom part of the quadrant. So it would be Steele versus potentially like a Lake Travis. Yeah. So, and then Lake Travis, Austin Westlake, I would think, in the final. So, which I believe they come from the same district.
Same district.
And then the last one that I did here, Vandergrift versus Austin Maroons, Brandeis, Sotomayor, Judson, Del Rio, Bar San Juan Memorial, Bears, Brownsville Veteran Memorial, Dripping Springs, Cedar Park, Vista Ridge, Warren, Clark, Medina Valley, San Marcos, and Harlingen Cardinals and La Jolla Coyotes.
Not as juicy as the boys. D2.
It's weird how it flipped, right? D1 was more juicier with the girls, and D2, was
so this one's not as interesting, but still, we'll definitely be following it because we're nerds for this stuff. But yeah, no, so it would be probably Vandergrift and
Vandergrift.
Brandeis, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then maybe either Del Rio or Judson. That's kind of
I think Judson. I think Judson because I know Coach Cano mentioned about them that they're starting to kind of get better. They've been getting better each year. So they're on the right trajectory.
Either Dripping and Vista Ridge. That's going to be good. And then Warren versus Clark. That'll be a good match. I could see Warren getting by. And then Medina Valley probably advancing in the bottom quadrant.
So that'll be Harlingen.
Yeah, so I would probably see Dripping Springs.
I see Dripping Springs versus
Vandergrift. So that's like 3 out of 4 from District 26. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think to me that District 26 is kind of the front runner on the girls' side for 6A.
So that was a fun experiment. We'll see if we can do that. Maybe add a couple other regions for that here. But no, like I said here, just a snapshot. We're a month in. Several districts started 1st of January that have the 9-10. For the smaller districts are just now starting, so maybe we'll kind of revisit this. End of February, 3rd week in February, maybe after Valentine's, kind of revisit.
Well, January was kind of like 5 weeks though. January was super long, but I think now we're starting to see how the season's gonna kind of play out. We've got some new teams, we've got some old faces that we've kind of usual suspects what we call them, but kind of playing out. So no, I mean it's one month down, but 2 more to go, 3 more to go, 2.5 more.
So, but yeah, it's to me, like I said here, I know we still went 2+ hours off, so I don't know how we get this down.
That's fine.
So
that's because I jumped in and
it's like I said. I think what threw us off, and we didn't even talk about one of the topics that Rafa wanted to get into, which we'll save it for another night, with the referees and kind of positioning and how that's impacted some games. along those lines. And to be fair, referees are put in an impossible position, especially if there's 2 referees for a varsity game when hopefully there should be 3 for that here if possible. But no, like I said here, it was a fun show. Hopefully you get some value out of it, just kind of being able to see the standings where people are. I know you can go on to Max Prep and kind of go through, but this is a way to kind of go through and see everything in one spot. And then obviously next week, RPI or another week?
RPIs. We'll have RPIs.
So we may do RPI and then maybe do District 5A for the playoffs. Just kind of get a snapshot for 5A for that, because 4A is hard to do. Just being honest with you, just the schools don't report it as well as the 5A and 6A schools do. So for that here, so we'll probably do this either Wednesday or Thursday, because AJ's got practice on Wednesdays for that here. So
we may be able to do the 4A, maybe just the top hand of the bracket of the Austin San Antonio area.
Okay, yeah, we can do it.
We can do
well,
that.
If we're gonna do that, I can do it. Well, like I said, it doesn't take that long to go through. So, and it doesn't. If I have the standings here, outside of 31 and 32, because it's really 31 and 32, you just wouldn't have that quadrant. Which historically they're not strong programs, from there, anyways. But this year could be different. Steve, thanks for coming on. I know late night for you. Rafa, safe travels back. I think you come back tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Yeah.
So make sure you hit Austin about 4:00 in the afternoon.
And actually, I'm going down to 281. So
Lampasas, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm going to Lampasas, so I won't get to hit it. Maybe the traffic there on 281 and 1604.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least there won't be fog like I hit the other day on 281.
Well, you hope, right?
But yeah, safe travels. I'll be out next week, so maybe I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. So I'll be out of state next week. So
and then for me, I think I'm going. AJ plays at Harlingen, I think is where he plays tomorrow. So
Harlandale,
Harlandale. So I'll be going down there, and depending on Monica's going to go shopping with Anna, so I might see if there's a Saturday match to go sneak out to again, because I have the NISD pass, so I've already paid the $50 to go watch any match for that here. Sorry, lady.
Go to
There's
Ferris.
one Saturday. Yeah, there's one at Ferris, right, on Saturday.
Yeah, Clark and Brandeis. That's where I'll be, Harry. So
okay.
Feel free to hit me up if there's a 12 o'clock and a 2 p.m.
I felt sorry for the lady because she's trying to check me in. She's like, "Well, what school are you here for?" I'm like, "All of them." I'm like, "I got the pass for all of them. I'm here to watch all the games." Yeah. She's like, "Well, pick a team." I'm like, "I'm here for all of them. What are you talking about?" Because I'm used to, "Hey, what school did you?" She asked, "What school did you buy it from?" I was like, "I didn't buy it from a school. I bought it from the season pass."
The district, yeah.
So next time I learned, just give her a team name so that way
you'll get in the gate quicker that way.
Yeah, so I think I ruined her day because I was like, "Dude, it's all of them. What do you not understand?" And I even went back and I was like, "Look, this is why I said season pass. It covers everybody." She's like, "Well, I just need to know who it is." And I was like, "All right, have a good day."
Yeah, sometimes the volunteers working at the front they question. So Rafa and I have the pass that Hector gave us, and one lady was like, "Well, where's your camera?" And I was like, my phone, like I could take pictures. Well, usually when people have a pass, they have a big camera, and I was like, "Oh, I don't have that." I could still be part of the media. Who knows? I could be writing about it, but they always got a question for some reason. Usually I would think that they would know my face by now, but no.
So the people that are there, like, "Hey, how many games you go to?" I was like, "Well, usually I try to go to a game or two a week, at least there, just so that way I can get my money's value." And then, of course, if AJ's playing away, I really liked going. I will say, and I tweeted this out, and we've talked about this before. I do think the north side schools and the northeast side schools do miss creating an environment by playing at Gus and Northside 1 as opposed to playing at the local schools, because you go down to the south side where, like going to South San and, like I said, with the memorial that they have, and shout out to them for the Veterans Memorial that they have there, one of the best in the States. But you go to south side, you go to Southwest, along those lines here, just
legacy.
Legacy. But you actually see a home field advantage, and I know you guys talk about, if you go down to Corpus or go down to, especially Laredo and those schools down there, where it's actually a home field advantage, where here it's like MacArthur's Jay had a decent crowd, but they were just sitting watching, which at least they weren't yelling at the players or anything along those lines, which is positive. But I've seen some of our club matches have more noise than the games. So.
Well, you do get that with the 5A group of death, with Piper and Smithson Valley, Alamo Heights, Kerrville Tivy, New Braunfels, those schools.
But that's because they play at their schools.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's pretty neat, and then, so what happens then is then they also include the JV. So then the JV plays before the varsity on, the gender side, so if it's the boys, the JV boys play first before the JV or the varsity boys, rather than, whereas Northeast and North Side, it's the girls team plays before the boys team, or the boys, or I should say varsity team.
They rotate.
Yeah. They rotate that, but
that should change though. Like, to me, and I think Rafa told, I forget who I asked about that. From a coaching aspect, being able to be there when the JV's there, or come in, because Coach Port comes in at halftime, because he gets his the varsity ready, and then they show up around halftime, and he'll watch how they're playing and be able to base like he got on AJ this last week here for for something that he wanted him to do. But as the varsity coach, you're able to see, hey, game action. It's really where if they're split, it's on the different weeks. Those are at the schools. But to me, the biggest thing that I see, because I stay for both games, the JV team stays and supports the varsity team, and the varsity team for the second half, once they gets there, will support through there. Like the MacArthur team, I think they all rode over in the one bus for that here. And to me, it's just one thing I wish Northside would look at making the changes, because it's the same amount of games. It is the same amount of games. You're just changing. You're keeping the only thing that I could see is you're keeping the varsities together. So if you have a parent that's got a boy and girl on the varsity side, you're able to watch both games as opposed to having to go cross town or different cities. So
yeah.
But I'm sure Rafa's got to get to bed. I'm sure he's got an early school visit tomorrow. Steve, he's got some back office work that he's got to do. My job, I got to get up early. I may have to take AJ to school, it sounds like here. So thank you for everybody that's tuned in. Looking at the people that watch, was over 200 for, we're here for a lot of the night here. So do thank you for that here. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and what's life without goals?
You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing.